Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. 81. Only play high-end games. Billet, why are you looking at me like that? Fukalos' eyes were a little dodgy, his pretty face turned red, and the hand holding the small spoon was trembling slightly. After hearing this, Billet's expression did not change much, and he still looked at Fukalos with a smile. Closing parenthesis. After a while, Billet chuckled. Fukalos's expression was so adorable. You guy. At this moment, Fukalos understood that he had been played. There was a moment of disappointment in my heart, and the previous sense of expectation instantly turned into anger. What happens in the soul fighting arena is not known to outsiders for the time being. Except for the Huangdo team and Dugu Bo, they are all the staff in the soul fighting arena. At the same time, in Shrek Academy, Qinming did not follow Huangdo's team tonight, but returned to Shrek Academy alone. Having graduated many years ago, he has not been back to Shrek Academy for a long time. He brought the members of the Imperial fighting team to Soto City for training. Maybe he wanted to go back to Shrek Academy. When Qinming walked into Shrek Academy, he was stunned. Under the moonlight, traces of battle could still be seen. Was there a big war that just happened in Shrek Academy? No. It should be said that it was a unilateral crushing. When Qinming saw Flanders' appearance at this time, he was confused. Who is the small city of Soto? Can actually cut off Flanders' arm? You must know that Flanders is a powerful soul saint. Also, the other teachers at Shrek Academy are also not vegetarians. What exactly happened? Dean, what's wrong with you? What happened? Qinming quickly came to the hospital bed and said with a sad and angry look. It's Qinming, I heard that your boy is now promising. Flanders shook his head, with a smile on his pale face. He didn't expect that this kid Qinming would come back to visit them at this time. I'm fine, just a little bit windy. Flanders doesn't want to mention this matter today. The opponent is a titled Douluo. Among titled Douluo, they are all extremely powerful beings. He is afraid that Qinming will do something stupid. At this moment, all the teachers from Shrek Academy arrived. When Qinming came to Shrek Academy, the first person he saw was not Flanders, but Li Yusong. Li Yusong's soul power level is not much higher than Qinming's, they are about the same, but Qinming's aura is stronger than Li Yusong's. No, under the night, Li Yusong didn't see the person clearly and just walked away. Everyone pushed open the door, and Zhao Wuji took the lead. Who dares to, Under the illumination of the lights, after Zhao Wuji saw the person coming clearly, he was stunned and continued, Xiao Ming. It's me, Teacher Zhao. Hey, it's really Xiao Ming, I thought he was some kind of thief. Zhao Wuji scratched his head and said a little embarrassedly. After saying this, he complained, Old Li, you are really dim-sighted. You are treating your own people as thieves. Li Yusong's eyes twitched and he said helplessly, Xiao Ming hasn't been back for a long time. You can't blame me for admitting the wrong person. Teacher Li, this matter is indeed Qinming's fault. Qinming smiled bitterly and said, Tiando City is not close to Soto City, and he works at Tiando Royal Academy, so it is normal for him to have no time. Teacher Xiao, Teacher Lu. He greeted everyone respectfully. At the same time, Qinming also looked at everyone. What puzzles him the most is why the strongest Flanders is injured and even loses his right arm, but the other teachers seem to be fine. Wait a minute, there is a young man lying next to him. He must be a junior, right? Are they the only two injured? Teachers, who is the dean? Qinming expressed his doubts. Since Flender was unwilling to say more, he could ask other insiders. Why? As soon as these words came out, several people sighed, and after looking at each other, Zhao Wuji said, we don't know the specific situation, but Flanders' injury was caused by a titled Douluo. They were confused about the cause of the incident and didn't know it clearly. They just knew that there seemed to be some conflict between Dai Mubai and Ning Rongrong, and Ning Rongrong went home to complain. Finally, Sword Douluo was ready to stand up for his granddaughter, but Dai Mubai was seriously injured again, so he turned his attention to Flanders. Who made him the dean of Shrek Academy? If he didn't look for Flanders, who to look for? After listening to Zhao Wuji's words, Qinming broke out in cold sweat on his forehead, that was a titled Douluo. This junior, how good is he at seeking death? Only then would you offend such a little ancestor. Qinming didn't know what to say about this matter. However, he was very angry. Can a titled Douluo just kill someone's arm? This is simply too much. However, Qinming couldn't say the words of revenge if he was asked to do so. The Qibao glazed sect is the second sect in the world. There are two titled Douluo in the sect, and these two titled Douluo are both powerful men above level 95. Going to Qibao glazed sect to seek revenge from Sword Douluo, what is the difference between this and seeking death? Okay, Qinming, don't take it personally. I should bear this calamity. My previous teaching plan was indeed wrong. Causing trouble. Ha ha ha. At this point, Flanders himself laughed, but it was a bit sad. Those two have never caused any trouble. Aren't they powerful? There is absolutely no one among their peers who is stronger than them. Having seen the horror of Fukalos, Flanders had a firm look on his face when he said this. What kind of existence is that? Attack, continuous attack, treatment, long-term treatment, the opponent's soul power seems to be endless. Then even he, the soul sage, can't do it. As for Navalette, although I have only seen him knock out Tang San with one blow and have not seen other battle scenes, isn't this enough? Dean, are you talking about the two people in the soul fighting arena? Qinming looked at Dai Mubai, who was still fainting, and then said to Flanders. Previously, when talking about why Dai Mubai was lying down, Flanders, Zhao Wuji and others mentioned the identities of Billet and Fukalos. Yes, the other party also has a background as a titled Douluo. Qinming. Mubai, this kid, won't cause trouble if he doesn't cause trouble. If he does, he will cause trouble. Wait a minute, I remember Mubai said before that before Tang San came to Shrek Academy, they also had a fight. After Zhao Wuji said this, Li Yusong and others didn't know why, and Qinming didn't know what was going on either. However, Flanders' eyes widened. The look in Dai Mubai's eyes changed. What the hell, you really only want to provoke soul masters with titled Douluo backgrounds, right? Chapter 82. The teacher is kind and the son is filial. Zhao Wuji and Flanders looked at each other, and their eyes changed when they turned to look at Dai Mubai. Only play high-end rounds, right? You don't even bother to mess with anyone who doesn't have a titled Douluo behind you, right? After Tang San, there is Tang Hao, named Haoshan. Rumor. Beat the former pope to death. Furthermore, Tang Hao came from the Haoshan sect, the first sect in the world. Behind Ning Rongrong were Chen Xin and Ji Yu Rong. Both of them were titled Douluo above level 95, and they also had an entire 7 treasures glazed sect. They don't know the names of Billet, Fukalos, and the titled Douluo, but they must be closely related to the 8 major families in the soul fighting field. Good guy, a waste, ahem, a prince who is regarded as an abandoned son, is he so arrogant? You are a mediocre person who dares not cause trouble, but you are an idiot by making trouble like this. Flanders, I have a bold idea. Zhao Wuji crossed his arms, looked at Dai Mubai, then looked at Flanders, and said with an unchanged expression. Flanders understood it, but just when he was about to agree, he looked at Dai Mubai again. After all, this kid has stayed at Shrek for 3 years. Isn't this a good thing? Thinking of this, Flanders shook his head and said, Mubai is our student after all. It was my failure to teach him well that made him make mistakes. If I'm wrong, it's also my problem. Forget it, just fire him. Let's have a good chat with him after he wakes up. Li Yusong and others realized that it turned out that Flanders and Zhao Wuki were planning to fire Dai Mubai, the broom star. In the end, Flanders gave up the idea because of his 3-year relationship. That's right. Although Xiaobai loves to cause trouble, he is still a good person. It would be a pity to fire him like this. I hope he graduates soon. Zhao Wuji shook his head and said. Dai Mubai, who was in a coma, didn't know that his 2 deans almost fired him. Can you blame Dai Mubai for causing trouble? Except for the last time, he was not wrong at all. No, is it wrong to pursue beauty? It is human nature to pursue beautiful things. He just chose the wrong person. That girl and her summoned beast are simply devils. Over at the student dormitory, Yu Shaogang and Tang San were sitting face to face, talking about something. Shaosan, practice hard, and one day you will reach the realm of titled Douluo. The one who cut off Flanders' arm today is a titled Douluo. His title is Sword. Sword Douluo Chenxin is the supreme elder of the 7 treasures glazed sect, the second sect in the world. When you reach the level of titled Douluo, Chenshin will never be your opponent. After hearing this, a gleam of light flashed in the somewhat autistic Tang San's eyes, and he asked doubtfully, Teacher, you always say that I will be very powerful after reaching the titled Douluo level, but my martial spirit is only blue. Silver grass. Today, even if I use all my strength and use the blue silver grass martial spirit, I am still no match for that soul master. The soul master here refers to Navalette. Tang San thought that he was attacked by surprise, but the other party had the ability to attack him by surprise. If it weren't for the land by the water, if it wasn't for Navalette's sneak attack, his strength should be about the same as Navalette's, right? Maybe we can still win. It's a pity that Villette didn't respect martial ethics and won away from him two of the Tang sect's special skills. This was a sure way to die. After hearing this, Yu Shaogang nodded calmly, then stood up, put his hands behind his back, turned his back to Tang San and said, Xiao San, do you know the meaning of twin martial spirits? Seeing Yu Shaogang standing up, how could Tang San, who respected his teacher and his moral principles, possibly sit still? He also stood up, stood behind Yu Shaogang, and then said respectfully, Teacher, please give me some advice. The blue-silver grass martial spirit is indeed a useless martial spirit. Even if I use all my life's learning to help you make up for this, it will be difficult for it to become a top existence at the same level. Yu Shaogang said without blushing or heart beating. When he said this, he paused and looked back at Tang San. If it weren't for my teacher, I, Tang San, wouldn't be where I am today. Yeah, if it weren't for Yu Shaogang, Tang San would practice normally and obtain the spirit rings of plant spirit beasts, and his blue-silver emperor bloodline might have awakened long ago. Blue-silver grass grows endlessly, and its healing ability has not been developed. Instead, it is only wrapped in blue and silver. With the clear sky hammer spirit around, does blue-silver grass need to attack? The only thing Tang San lacks is auxiliary means. Xiao San, have you ever thought about adding 9 soul rings that are over 50,000 years old to your second martial soul after you become a titled Douluo? Hearing this, Tang San's eyes lit up and he, suddenly realized it. Is that so? Titled Douluo can only have 2 soul rings that are over 50,000 years old at most, namely the 8th soul ring and the 9th soul ring. Some titled Douluo's 8th soul rings may not be 50,000 years old. If he obtains 9 spirit rings that are over 50,000 years old, wouldn't he be invincible when Tang San uses his second spirit? What Villette and Sword Douluo Chenshin are not worth mentioning at all. Xiaosan, you don't need to be anxious now. With the blue-silver grass martial spirit, as well as your self-created soul skills and hidden weapons, it is enough for you to overcome the difficulties in the early stage. I will try my best to make your blue-silver grass martial spirit more powerful. After Yu Shaogang said this, Tang San knelt directly on the ground and said with a grateful and firm expression, Thank you, teacher. Without your guidance, I don't know how long I would have been addicted to failure. You child, don't kneel down all the time. How can you do this when there is gold under your knees? Yu Shaogang helped Tang San up with a smile on his face and said without any anger. He was still a little happy in his heart. This is the son of an idol, and he is also a peerless genius. Look, how obedient he is. Good disciple. By the way, what did you say about failure? Who did you fight for souls with and lost? Yu Shaogang frowned, not because Tang San lost, but because someone could actually defeat Tang San. He roughly knew Tang San's strength, aided by those strange self-created soul skills, plus the control of hidden weapons in blue-silver grass. If there were no restrictions, in a one-on-one situation, it would be almost impossible for anyone among the soul masters to be Tang San's opponent. This was Yu Shaogang's affirmation of Tang San's strength, and Tang San did not disappoint him. He is a judge in the soul fighting arena, his name is Navalette. What? That Villette? Yu Shaogang was stunned and subconsciously exclaimed. You must know that Dai Mubai's current injury is related to Villette. Although it was not his hand that moved it. The teacher also knows about Villette. It's not very clear, please continue. 83. Help me, Navalette. Time is like sand in the palm of your hand. If you don't pay attention, it will pass. In a blink of an eye, it was the next day. Soto City, the great soul fighting arena. Fukalos, what are you thinking about? Early in the morning, there was always a ding and bang sound in his ears, which made Navalette frown. After arriving in the hall, Navalette said something subconsciously. Hearing Villette's voice, Fukalos, who was squatting in the corner, turned back and glanced at Navalette, and the smile on his face instantly solidified. No, it's nothing. What a shame that there are only 300 taels of silver in this place. Yes, did I disturb you? The corner of Villette's eyes twitched. Didn't this guy ask questions knowingly? It wasn't that he didn't care about being disturbed, but he wanted to know what Fukalos was doing. Navalette quickly came to Fukalos and took a look at the parts of the mechanism on the ground, which made his mind go crazy. Question mark question mark question mark quote. At this moment, Navalette was caught in a brainstorm. What are you planning to build? Navalette knew Fontaine technology, but he didn't know the principle or how to make it. After all, he had no memory of the Supreme Inquisitor Navalette. Didn't the old man give us this bracelet? I plan to make a gadget as a return gift. Since he was discovered by Navalette, Fukalos stopped hiding and took out the remaining parts from the storage soul guide. Unfortunately, the materials in this world don't seem to be as strong as expected, so I wasted some gold soul coins. Fukalos murmured in a low voice. Looking at the gears, screws, and some unspeakable materials all over the floor, Navalette fell into deep thought. Fukalos produced so many materials and parts in just one night. Wait a minute, with so many materials and parts, the gadget she was talking about couldn't be something big, right? Navalette fell into deep thought. Actually, it's not that troublesome. The old man doesn't need anything. We just need to visit him often when we have time. This is all the old man wants. Navalette still knows this. It's almost finished, let's build it. Little Navi, do whatever you need to do, and I'll come back to you after I finish it. After saying this, Fukalos grabbed Navalette's hand and pushed him out of the door with Navalette's confused eyes. With a bang, the door closed. Facing the door panel, Navalette was speechless for a long time. He didn't stop Fukalos either. You just said what you thought and then you were kicked out of the house. Touching his chin, Villette shook his head and walked out of the spirit fighting arena. Along the way, the staff looked at him with more respect and admiration. They saw with their own eyes that Villette summoned 2 dragons and then defeated the powerful Imperial battle team. Morning, Mr. Villette. Lord Villette, have you had breakfast? Navalette. Everyone was more enthusiastic than usual, which made Navalette a little confused about how to deal with it. Fortunately, everyone had high emotional intelligence and would leave after chatting for a few words. This allowed Navalette to successfully walk out of the spirit fighting arena. I don't know what kind of black technology Fukalos is doing, it's mysterious. Navalette shook his head and didn't think much about it. Actually, is it really mysterious? It's not because Navalette can't understand. If he knew those parts, it wouldn't feel so mysterious. After all, I'm still a little uncomfortable with the hustle and bustle of the city, so I'd better go for a walk outside the city. Thinking of this, Navalette walked towards the city gate. Suddenly, a voice stopped him. Navalette. Question mark closing parenthesis. Looking towards the source of the sound, I saw Yu Tianeng, who had a bandage on his head and a bandage on his right arm hanging from his neck, looking at him with a firm expression. Question mark question mark question mark quote. How could Yu Tianeng be like this? Wasn't he still fine when he went back last night? How did it become like this? This is not a good question for you, Villette. Mr. Yu Tianeng, what's the matter? Navalette paused and asked Yu Tianeng. The distance between the two of them was only 10 meters at this time. Yu Tianeng gritted his teeth, as if he had made up his mind, and quickly came to Navalette and said, Navalette. Please teach me. After saying this, Yu Tianeng bowed deeply. This scene made Navalette feel a bit confused. What's the situation? Yu Tianeng asked himself to teach him. Why did young master Yu Tianeng say this? Your sect has a complete inheritance, why do you need to ask me for advice? Navalite helped Yu Tianeng up and asked doubtfully. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect has a title Douluo, and it also has the secret technique of dragon transformation. It is not an exaggeration to say that it has a complete inheritance. How could this Yu Tianeng be so hot-headed that he would ask others for advice? Navalette, it has nothing to do with inheritance, I want to ask you to teach me how to practice. I know my request is a bit presumptuous, but I have no better way to become stronger. Speaking of this, Yu Tianeng stared at Navalette, as if he was afraid that he would not agree. Master Yu Tianeng, do you want to learn my self-created soul skills? Navalette frowned and said doubtfully. Even if he were taught his self-created soul skills, it would be impossible for others to learn them. Except for Fukalos. I learned this from her. No, the self-created soul skill is your secret. How can a soul master pry into other people's secrets? Yu Tianeng shook his head and said. I just ask you to teach me how to become stronger quickly. I don't want to be so weak anymore. I must have the strength to protect Yanyan. Please. The corners of Villette's eyes twitched slightly. What kind of cultivation does he know? You know your own situation, but others don't. Master Yu Tianeng, it's not that I don't teach, it's really. Me neither. That's right, in addition to basic meditation, his Villette becomes stronger by relying on the passage of time and the spirit fighting field. There are really no other ways to become stronger. Do you need? No need at all. Hearing this, Yu Tianeng was a little disappointed. The way to become stronger was a secret, and he shouldn't have asked. However, he never wanted to experience what happened last night again. That feeling of powerlessness and being looked down upon by Yan Yan's grandfather. He can't even beat his own woman, so how can he protect her? He, Yu Tianeng, doesn't want to be a waste. Yu Shaogang. How about you give me your ID card? Villette, please, please, I really have nothing to do. Help me, Navalette. Navalette. After being silent for a while, Villette sighed, why is Yu Tianeng so stubborn? Without further ado, Navalette. 84. There is no even the most basic trust between people. Navalette shook his head, turned around and walked out of the city. It's not that he doesn't teach, it's that he doesn't know how. Besides, even if he knew how, why should he teach Yu Tianeng? It's not Maluxan. Master Yu Tianeng, please come back. I don't have any way to become stronger. After saying this, Navalette left without looking back. Yu Tianeng was stunned for a moment, looking at Villette's back, the feeling of being a superior person still existed. His feeling is absolutely unmistakable. No, I can't just give up. Yanyan, I will definitely have the strength to protect you. Yu Tianeng is an extremely chauvinistic person, and he cannot accept that Dugu Yan is stronger than him. Of course, he doesn't blame Dugu Yan, he only blames himself for not working hard enough. The glory of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus sect does not allow him to be weaker than his girlfriend. After thinking a lot, Yu Tianeng clenched his left fist, gritted his teeth, and quickly followed. I must become stronger. He will definitely help me become stronger. The most important thing about defeating Huang Dou's team alone was the temperament of Villette's body, which made Yu Tianeng more determined in his thoughts. Navalette sensed that Yu Tianeng was actually following him, and couldn't help but pause. After thinking for a moment, he ignored it. Yu Tianeng is free to do whatever he wants. Shaked his head, Navalette continued walking towards the river. Old man Lexius has gone to find his old brothers and won't be back for a while. The annual meeting is coming, and it will be held in Tiando City today. Most of the direct members of the 8 major families will come. Lexius might go to the Star Luo Empire first, wait for the 4 families there to finish visiting and return to the Tiando Empire, and then finally go to Tiando City. At that time, it was almost time for the annual meeting. Not long after, Navalette came to the riverside. There was only this small river near Soto City. In Yu Tianeng's surprised eyes, Navalette took out a chair and a fishing rod from the storage soul guide. There was no bait, and the empty hook was thrown directly into the water. At this scene, even Yu Tianeng, who didn't know anything about fishing, was confused. No, if you don't take the bait, how will the fish take the bait? Wait a minute, you don't practice cultivation in your prime years, so you come here to fish. Yu Tianeng blinked his eyes filled with the light of wisdom. He doesn't believe it. Navalette must not want him to know her secret, so she pretended to fish. HMPH, there is not even the most basic trust between people. Although Yu Tianeng followed him, if Navalette was practicing, he would never take a peek unless Navalette consented. Seeing Navalette start fishing, Yu Tianeng didn't care about his image and found a place to sit down at random, staring at Navalette. Nearly an hour later, Yu Tianeng was about to doze off. At this time, Villette moved. At this moment, Yu Tianeng immediately cheered up and stared at Villette. I saw Navalette making a casual move without releasing his martial spirit. A ball of pure water quickly formed a goblet. The water in the cup and the goblet were clearly layered, and it looked like a real crystal cup filled with water. This scene made Yu Tianung's jaw almost drop to the ground. What kind of soul control is this? Only to achieve this level. No wonder he can summon 2 dragons. Yu Tianung has never heard of this soul control, let alone seen it. You must know that Villette has not released his martial spirit. Simply incredible. He also said he couldn't. What is this? Hey! Yu Tianung sighed. He wondered if it was because he was not sincere enough that the other party didn't teach him. Is such powerful soul power control really something a soul master can achieve? The water in Sotuo City is clear, sweet and has an endless aftertaste, while the water in Tiando City. The water on the Tiando City side is a bit deep. Hearing Villette's murmur, Yu Tianung fell into deep thought again. Could it be that Villette had some deep meaning? He scratched his head with his left hand. Yu Tianung was a little confused. The next moment, something happened that made Yu Tianung even more confused. Navalette seemed to feel something. The goblet in his hand disappeared, and the next moment, Fukalos appeared in his arms. It was silent, and no soul power fluctuations appeared out of thin air. Yu Tianung's mouth was slightly open, but he couldn't speak. Isn't this girl the one who was with Navalette last night? They looked like a couple, but Yu Tianung couldn't find any reason to ask for news. At this moment, cold sweat broke out on Yu Tianung's forehead, and he could appear in Navalette's arms silently, and there was no fluctuation in his soul power. I can only use 4 words to describe it, so terrifying. Wait a minute, these 2 are not old monsters who have rejuvenated themselves, right? This kind of thing is not impossible. As long as your strength reaches the level of a titled Douluo, you can return to youth, but very few titled Douluo will do this. Because the price of rejuvenation requires active maintenance of soul power. Except for female soul masters, male soul masters rarely do this. Maintaining their appearance, most of them will remain around 30 years old. They look like boys and girls like Villette and Fukalos. I have never heard of them, let alone seen them. Did you finish your work so quickly? Shaving Fukalos's nose, Villette said without changing his expression. With the beauty in his arms, his stagnant face did not cause any waves, but his heartbeat was much faster than usual. It's done, I'll give the old man a surprise then. I hope it's not scary. Villette said quietly. He always felt that what Fukalos took out was definitely not that simple. Can you tell me in advance what it is? Of course, I'm not curious. Villette said duplicitously, staring at Fukalos intently, as if to say, show me. Fukalos. The secret, you'll know it when the time comes. Fukalos smiled slightly, shook his head and said. Yu Tianung was confused by the exchange between the 2. He couldn't understand what Villette and Fukalos were saying at all. Wait a minute, did you forget that there is another person here? Isn't it not good to be so intimate, so ambiguous, and to be so arrogant? Suddenly, Fukalos raised his eyebrows and glanced slightly sideways, looking at Yu Tianung not far away. She frowned and then left Villette's arms. Villette, the fish you want to catch must be young Master Yu Tianung, right? Yu Tianung. What does it mean? Why did Yu Tianung become a fish? No, Mr. Yu Tianung just stopped by to take a look. 85. Miss Xie Bailita helps to hang the fish. He has been here for more than half an hour. Maybe he is also someone who likes this kind of environment. Navalette said, thoughtfully, that he had already rejected Yu Tianung's study offer. The other party came here to appreciate this moment of tranquility, right? Is that so? Fukalos saw through it without saying anything, nodded and said, the stupid hair on her head was also dangling. When Navalette saw this, something strange flashed in his eyes, but he quickly restrained himself. One cannot, at least one should not. This silly guy is really cute. Fukalos trembled slightly. She always felt that there was something wrong with Villette's eyes just now, but she couldn't explain it. A strange feeling. Without saying a word, he waved his hand and a transparent bubble appeared. Fukalos just sat next to Villette and watched him, fishing. This moment of tranquility is really beautiful. Yu Tianung. No. What is the situation of this couple? 1 and 2 have reached the peak level of control over the water element. He has never seen someone who can use the water element like this without releasing his martial spirit. As the grandson of the leader of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect and the captain of the Imperial Fighting Team, Yu Tianeng is quite familiar with Tianshui Academy. I have communicated with Tianshui College before. However, their control over water and ice, in front of Navalette and Fukalos, was like children and mud, unsightly. Although he learned nothing during this trip, Yu Tianeng was not disappointed. He had learned a lot. Things that I never dared to imagine before were actually realized by others. To put it bluntly, Yu Tianeng felt like he was living in a dream. It would be great if I also had such high control over elements. Yu Tianeng sighed. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and a golden light flashed in his eyes. Yes. Why doesn't he start practicing on his own lightning control? For example, the first soul skill, Thunder Dragon Claw, is obviously the most suitable single target attack, but it is also area specific. If he can do what Villette and Fukalos can do to his own lightning attribute. Thinking of this, the corners of Yu Tianeng's mouth raised slightly and his fists clenched. He seemed to have found a different path. Yu Tianeng took a breath of cold air, forgetting that the injury on his right arm had not healed yet, and became a little complacent. Navalette, thank you. Although you didn't say it clearly, I already understand what I should do next. One day, I will come back to challenge you again. I will definitely impress you at that time. Yu Tianeng bowed and turned around to leave without waiting for Villette to say anything. He was going to find Yi Lingling to help him heal his injuries. Because Yu Feng and Osluo's injuries were more serious, Yi Lingling treated the two of them first. Yu Tianeng and others' injuries were relatively minor, so they were temporarily bandaged and treated again the next day. He could only test his conjecture after Yi Lingling helped him heal his injuries. Navalette and Fukalos looked at each other, then looked at the direction Yu Tianeng left, not knowing what to say for a moment. Why did Yu Tianeng say thank you? What did he teach Yu Tianeng? This young master Yu Tianeng is a bit inexplicable. Navalette, did young master Yu Tianeng ask you for advice before? Fukalos asked doubtfully. After hearing this, there was nothing to hide. Villette nodded and said, Master Yu Tianeng asked me for advice on cultivation methods, but where do I know those? So, I simply refused. That's it. Perhaps he is really enlightened. Fukalos doesn't understand it very well. Her situation is different from Navalette's, and the power system of this world is also different. Cultivation. What is that? Time passed, and in the blink of an eye it was another 2 hours, and Villette still found nothing. At this moment, Fukalos snapped his fingers, and Miss Shibarita quickly condensed successfully. Miss Exibalita, please help Villette's fishhook to hang a fish. Fukalos said with a solemn look. Navalette. Miss Shibarita moved her claws twice, as if she understood. She jumped directly from the air and fell into the water. In just a moment, the swim bladder on the water moved. Miss Exibalita's figure emerged from the water again and gestured twice to Fukalos. Navalette, hurry up, you're hooked. Navalette. If this were a fishing competition in a previous life, wouldn't he be a proper champion? With a crab like Miss Shibarita helping to hang the fish, how can we lose? Impossible. In the end, the innocent fish was released, and Villette also collected the fishing gear. These things are not cheap. Accompanied Fukalos by the river for a while, and then headed towards Soto City. Time passed, and 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Since that battle, the Imperial Fighting Team has never come to the Great Soul Fighting Arena to fight spirits again. The crisis in the Soul Fighting Arena has been solved easily. On this day, for some unknown reason, the Imperial Battle Team chose to leave Soto City and prepared to return to Tiando City. Dean, teachers, you should really consider coming to Tiando Royal Academy. With the strength of Dean and teachers, you will not be restricted by joining Tiando Royal Academy. Qin Ming said sincerely. Flanders has lost one of his right hands. After taking care of this class of students, he does not plan to continue opening Shrek Academy. Stop directly. Xiao Ming, we appreciate your kindness, but we really don't want to. Flanders, promise him. Before Flanders could finish speaking, Yu Xiaogang on the side said expressionlessly. This made Flanders stunned, a little confused. Why would Yu Xiaogang say such a thing? Xiaogang, after we wait for several children to graduate, Shrek Academy will not be opened. It doesn't matter whether we go to Tiando Royal Academy or not. Besides, we old guys are used to being quiet and don't want to go to a place like that. Tiando Royal Academy's reputation has never been very good, this is a well-known thing. Do you think I'm helping you think about it? Yu Xiaoging's face remained unchanged, his hands were clasped behind his back, and he said calmly. Hearing this, Qin Ming was stunned. Although he didn't know what Yu Xiaoging wanted to say, it would be good if he could convince Flanders and others to join the Tiando Royal Academy. Ah! Flander was stunned, frowned, and said, Xiao Gang, we are all our own people. If you have anything to say, just say it. There are still more than 2 years to go before the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition, and Shrek Academy does not have a place to participate. Tiando Royal Academy is different, they not only have 1, but 2. You don't want these children to hide in a place like this in the countryside like you, do you? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel 86. Can a broken arm make someone enlightened? As soon as these words came out, Shrek's face darkened. The truth was this, but when Yu Xiaoging said it so straightforwardly, he deserved a beating. They need a higher stage to show themselves in order to obtain better resources. This is something Shrek Academy cannot do no matter how much it makes up for. Since it's the last one, why not do your best? You yourself are old, so it doesn't matter, but these children are still young. Flanders, can you bear to delay their future? If you are really patient, you are the biggest sinner. Yu Xiaoging finished saying this in one breath and then stopped. He couldn't care about other people, but if it was the Tiando Royal Academy, Tang San had to go. Although Tiando Royal Academy has a poor reputation, it is the highest institution in the Tiando Empire. Whether it is teachers, simulated training, food, or subsidies, it is the best in the Tiando Empire. With these resources, Tang San can grow quickly, but Yu Xiaoging doesn't care. After all, he has been here for so many years. For Yu Xiaoging now, except for his theory and Tang San, nothing else is important. Tang San, this is his theoretical achievement. It's a pity that Tang San is no match for Heaven's proud one Navelet. In Yu Xiaoging's opinion, Billet should have the top martial soul, the best resources, and the best soul ring ratio. Anyway, regarding soul masters, he enjoys the best. Only then can he win against Tang San. As for who feels the most about Yu Xiaoging's words, it is undoubtedly Qin Ming. To be able to become the second youngest person to break through to the Soul Emperor, Qin Ming's talent is worthy of recognition. His biggest regret in his life is that he has not participated in the elite competition of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy. As a top student of Shrek Academy, it's not because he is inferior in strength, but because he is not qualified to compete. Of course, Qin Ming does not blame Flanders and others for this matter. Without Flanders and the others, Qin Ming would not be where he is today. Yes, Dean, this master is right, the juniors and juniors need this opportunity. Qin Ming continued smoothly. He wanted to fulfill his filial piety for the teachers at Shrek Academy, so he naturally wanted to drag the teachers to Tiando Royal Academy to enjoy their blessings. Flanders hesitated. Yu Xiaoging and Qin Ming's words were a critical blow to him, and he was unable to refute them at all. Especially Qin Ming, Flanders saw that fleeting loss. This is all his fault, Flanders. If he hadn't opened Shrek Academy, the students who were deceived by him might have had better prospects. After a moment of silence, Flanders nodded and said to Zhao Wuji and others, Brothers, since Qin Ming has invited us to enjoy the blessings of Tiando Royal Academy, shall we go or not? As teachers of Shrek Academy, they have something to do with them. Otherwise, they are all powerful soul emperors at the lowest level. How could they hide in the small Shrek Academy? Over the years, everyone has become accustomed to the pace of life in Shrek Academy. It is a bit uncomfortable to leave suddenly. No one is a fool. Being able to say this means that Flanders already has the answer in his heart. Preparing to take a few students to Tiando City. We old brothers have been together for 20 years, right? If we are separated, we will be a little uncomfortable. Just go with us. Li Yusong thought for a moment and finally spoke. Zhao Wuji and others nodded without saying much. Especially Xiao Xin, the food soul saint, he nodded quickly when he saw everyone nodding. In Shrek Academy, this food department soul saint is the most mysterious. You must know that the cultivation of food-type soul masters is the most difficult. In the entire Douluo Continent, there are definitely no more than 5 food-type soul masters who can reach the soul saint level. With his conditions, no matter which big power he goes to, he will be a guest. But this soul saint is willing to stay in the small Shrek Academy, which is really puzzling. Okay. In that case, let's go back and pack our things. Let's. By the way, Xiao Ming, when will we set off? Speaking of this, Flanders then remembered that Qin Ming had not said when he would go to Tiando Royal Academy. Seeing this, Qin Ming finally showed a smile on his face, thought for a moment, and said, Dean, teachers, don't be anxious, there are still a few months until the next enrollment. However, we can enroll early. When Qin Ming goes back to discuss with the 3 education committee members, he will come back to pick up the dean, teachers, and juniors to go to Tiando City. I'll be back in 2 months at most. Please wait for a while, dean and teachers. After hearing this, Flanders nodded and said, thank you for your hard work, Xiao Ming. He knows how far Soto City is from Tiando City. In the past 2 months, Qin Ming will spend most of the 2 months traveling. Isn't it hard work? Not everyone is like a flying titled Douluo who can quickly go from Tiando City to Soto City and back again. Chenxin. Everyone discussed it again, and then Qin Ming took his leave and returned to Tiando City with the Wangdu team, which was a bit faster than when they came. It's called a good exercise to train everyone's body. Flanders, you finally did something right. Yu Shaogang put his hands behind his back and said calmly. Flanders' eyes twitched. He didn't know why, but he always felt that Yu Shaogang had gained a vague demeanor since he came to Shrek Academy. Flender is the dean, right? Of course, if Yu Shaogang is willing, it is not impossible that the dean cannot be handed over to him. If he had given it to Yu Shaogang earlier. Looking at his empty right arm, Flanders said nothing. Before Xiao Ming comes back, I will leave the training of the children to you. I am powerless now. Since he realized that he shouldn't practice chaos and opened Shrek Academy, Flanders has matured a lot and learned a lot. This may have been triggered after breaking an arm. Chen Xin broke an arm and broke through from level 96 to level 97. Tang Hao broke an arm and a leg, and after reconnecting them, he broke through from level 95 to level 97. Perhaps, in Douluo Continent, injuries, broken arms, etc. can make people realize different things. Okay, then let me teach them for the time being. By the way, you can't interfere while I'm teaching. Good. Flanders believed in his good brother. Although his soul power level was unknown, he had mastered most of the knowledge about the Spirit Hall and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. Even if you can't use it flexibly, it's still much better than these wild ways. The screen changed to the Soto City Spirit Fighting Arena. Billet, why don't you go to be the referee today? Rather than being a referee, I want to. P.S. I received the blade this afternoon, and there is also a sharpening stone in the box. I don't dare to say anything more. I just emphasize that starting from today, I will update it carefully and never update it again. Brother, is my oath okay? 87. Elegant, so elegant. The sun was shining brightly and there were no clouds in the sky. There are always creatures on the ground sweating. On the official road, flowers bloom and trees grow on both sides. From time to time, a butterfly dances and insects chirp. A young man is facing forward, squinting sideways, and the scenery in his eyes is the girl beside him. The girl lowered her head, her eyes averted, her face slightly red, and she held the boy's hand, feeling at a loss. Billet, what are you looking at? Look at the scenery, the most beautiful scenery in the world. Billet said without blushing or heartbeat. After being baptized by modern society, words of love can just come out of her mouth. Of course, this is what he really means. After hearing this, Fukalos' face became even more rosy, but he remained silent. The two of them continued to walk leisurely. It was broad daylight and the spirit arena was not open. Who? At this moment, several breathless sounds sounded in their ears, which made Navalet and Fukalos slightly stunned. Tang San, your teacher is a devil, right? How can there be such training? Ma Hongjun, if you don't want to run away, go back. My teacher's teaching methods are absolutely correct. Tang San didn't even think about it and shouted directly at Ma Hongjun behind him. At this time, Tang San, Ma Hongjun, Oscar, and Xiao Wu were carrying a basket on their backs. In the basket on his back, there are stones of different sizes. There is no way around this. Shrek's condition is that he doesn't have anything like heavy-duty armor. I didn't say not to run, I just But, is this really useful for our cultivation? The reason there were only 4 people was because Dai Mubai was still lying down. His injuries were not serious. Even though he had woken up, he was still in a daze. That was a severe beating for several hours, a beating that left me unable to survive or die. Dai Mubai did not have a mental breakdown, he was already strong-willed. Whether it's useful or not, just do what the teacher says, stop talking nonsense. Tang San was leading the way. He was also sweating profusely, and the sweat on his forehead kept falling like rain. His load is the largest among the 4. Xiao Wu, who had been silent until now, suddenly her eyes lit up. Look, who did she see? Ignoring Tang San and Ma Hongjun who were arguing, Xiao Wu seemed to have unleashed her potential and rushed towards Villette and Fukalos. Xiao Wu's abnormality attracted the attention of Tang San, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar. The 3 of them were stunned for a moment, and then they saw the 2 people in front of them. Villette, I'm dying of thirst. Do you have any water with you? After Xiao Wu came to Navalite and Fukalos, she placed the backpack on her back on the ground. From the vibration when the backpack fell to the ground, she could probably judge that the backpack weighed about 80 kilograms, which is 160 kilograms. Who knows that, master? No, it should be Yu Shaogang. He would suddenly propose the training method of weight-bearing running. No one had prepared water in advance. After running for so long, they were already thirsty. Navalette is a water attribute soul master, so there is absolutely no problem in trying to get rid of him. After hearing this, they looked at Xiao Wu again. Villette and Fukalos looked at each other, somewhat speechless. Just when Navalette was about to say something, Fukalos said, "Little dancing girl, we do have drinking water, but in your current situation, it's best to drink some warm salt water. After strenuous exercise, drinking cold water directly is not good for the body. It is best to drink some warm salt water, which can replenish water and electrolytes. Who would carry salt on their body when they have nothing to do?" After hearing this, Xiao Wu frowned. She didn't understand this very well. Xiao Wu, this girl is right. Let's try not to drink water now. After Tang San saw Villette and Fukalos, murderous intent flashed through his eyes, but he quickly restrained himself. He is no match for these 2 people now. I heard that Dai Mubai was beaten like that by this woman. Both of them were so terrifying that he had no way to deal with it for the time being. Xiao Wu just ignored Tang San's words, going in with the left ear and going out with the right ear. Villette, and this beautiful sister, please give me some water to drink. It doesn't matter whether it's salt water or not. Fatty, I'm going to die. Ma Hongjun ran over, also put down the backpack on his back, sat down on the ground, and said with pitiful eyes and a full of energy voice. His voice was so low that it didn't look like he was dying. Oscar is an auxiliary, food, soul master. Even though he has reached the soul master level, his body is still the weakest. He is still far away at this time, running slowly towards this side. This. Fukalos looked at Ma Hongjun, and then at Navalette beside her. She didn't quite understand why these guys were so disobedient. Navalette nodded. It's okay to drink some water. They are soul masters, not ordinary people. They cannot be treated like ordinary people. All right. Fukalos snapped her fingers, and several bubbles appeared in front of her. Inside the bubbles was pure water. This move, not to mention Tang San and others were dumbfounded, even Zhao Wuji secretly was dumbfounded as well. Good guy, how powerful is the control of this element to achieve this step? Thank you, beautiful sister. Ma Hongjun, who was lying dead on the ground, immediately got up and came to Fukalos, picked up a bubble and was about to pop it and drink water. However, after he poked the bubble twice with his finger, the bubble did not burst. Ma Hongjun's head turned stiffly in the direction of Fukalos, and his eyes gradually became shocked. Mr. Ma Hongjun, use this. Suddenly, there was an extra hand in front of Ma Hongjun, and in his hand was a straw made of water. Question mark question mark question mark quote. No, you couple are so handsome. It's just a drink of water, isn't it? Ma Hongjun scratched his head, took the straw from Billette's hand, and began to look at it carefully. This is just a shock if you don't look at it, but when you look at it, others are dumbfounded. How is this done? Ma Hongjun opened his mouth slightly, but hesitated to speak. Looking at the bubbles and straw in his hand, he felt that he was not so thirsty anymore. They are both soul masters, why are Villette and this beautiful sister so good? Zhao Wuji. Flanders's injury was not yet healed, so it was Zhao Wuji who was responsible for secretly protecting the few people. He was also speechless. Can a water-attributed soul saint be able to do this? No, it's definitely not possible. It is impossible for the soul saint to be so showy. I want to learn this too. Zhao Wuji roared in his heart. It's hard to imagine how elegant the two of them must be when drinking water. Chapter 88. Master. Mage. It's a pity that he is not a water attribute soul master, so it is impossible to learn it. If he could learn this skill, how much admiration he would receive when he goes out. Just thinking about it makes me a little excited. Ma Hongjun, Oscar, and Xiaowu all took the bubbles and straws without hesitation and started to replenish water. As for Tang San, he was very stubborn and did not pick up the bubble. A gentleman does not eat food that comes from afar. Even if it's just water. Tang San didn't want to, but Zhao Wuji came out from the darkness. Zhao. Ma Hongjun and others were stunned, but Zhao Wuji scratched his head, ignored the three of them, walked over to Fukalos and Navalette and said, "Young master, miss, can I have a taste? To tell you the truth, this is the first time for me, Lao Zhao, to see such a miracle. I'm really excited to see it and want to taste it." Zhao Wuji's face turned a little red when he spoke. Fortunately, his face was already red and no one noticed anything unusual. Humshing is normal. This is a sign of abundant blood, indicating that Zhao Wuji's physical condition is very good. Give. The last bubble was pushed in front of Zhao Wuji by Fukalos. At this time, Navalette also made a straw and handed it to Zhao Wuji. Tang San. Why didn't they ask themselves if they needed water? As long as you ask, he will reluctantly accept it. Tang San was so angry that he angrily picked up his backpack and started on the road without saying a word. Tang San left, and everyone didn't pay attention at all. Suddenly, Villette seemed to have thought of something, and said to Zhao Wuji in confusion, "Senior Zhao Wuji, are your college torturing students?" Navalette pointed to the backpack on the ground to let everyone understand what he was talking about. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji, Ma Hongjun and others were stunned. Navalette, this is a cultivation method taught by a master. It is to exercise their physical strength by bearing heavy weights. It is not intended to torture the students. Zhao Wuji raised his forehead and said subconsciously. He was originally a rough guy and didn't understand these things. He only knew that doing this could help him exercise. Besides, Flanders said that Yu Shaogang was a cultured person and knew a lot. He must have asked the students to do this. He had makes sense. After thinking for a while, Navalette said, "Weight-bearing exercise is correct, but training with stones on your back will cause uneven force during running, and it will not play a role in exercise. Quote. It will have the opposite effect and leave hidden wounds on their bodies. Of course, if there is medicinal soup to assist in cultivation, there will be no problem." The so-called medicinal soup refers to medicated baths and decoctions, that is, tonics, used to repair the body. Everyone was stunned. Villette's appearance didn't seem to be a joke. Could it be that the master? No, Xiaoping too was planning to harm them. What a master, he doesn't understand anything at all. Navalette is one of the descendants of the 8 major families, so he naturally knows more. Such teachings have no effect other than torturing people. Quote. Everyone was silent. After a moment, Ma Hongjun complained, "I know that master is not a real master. His soul power level is not as high as Oscar, and he is still a master. If training like this is useful, can he be stuck at level 29? Ma Hongjun's character is inherently straightforward. He has no scruples about saying anything. Besides, Tang San and Yu Shaogang are not here, so what's the matter with a few complaints? Don't carry these broken stones. I'll go find Flanders when I go back. If he doesn't cancel this lesson, I'll beat him up. He's injured now. I've told the whole Shrek Academy. Calculate. Zhao Wuji was also a little angry. This is not a master. This is a mage. Are you going to trick his students? Just trick your own disciple Tang San, but his students cannot be tricked. Navalette, thank you. Otherwise, these children may have been tricked and may have suffered hidden injuries. Zhao Wuji arched his hands towards Navalette and said solemnly. Although he is a promiscuous person, he is extremely loyal. When he comes out to proliferate, his righteousness comes first. Be good to him and he will naturally be grateful. Senior Zhao Wuji is serious. Navalette waved his hand and said. Training by carrying stones. This has to be a master. Zhao Wuji has such a training cheating device right in front of him, yet he still asks students to carry stones. Isn't it good to use gravity to train? What is the difference between a senior and a senior? How can I, Zhao Wuji, be considered a senior in front of you? If you don't mind, just call me Lao Zhao. Zhao Wuji quickly shook his head. He still knew how many pounds there were. There is a titled strong man behind him, and his own strength is not simple either. The others took a short rest, and then Zhao Wuji took Ma Hongjun, Oscar, Xiao Wu, Naval and Fukalos to say goodbye. As for the backpacks, Zhao Wuji threw them away. He wants to go back and talk to Flanders about this master. Look at how he teaches the students. Navalette looked sideways slightly, and looked at each other with Fukalos. The two smiled at each other and said nothing. After a while, Navalette said, this Zhao Wuji, also known as the Fudo Ming King, has the ability to adjust the gravity of a small area. If used to train low-level soul masters, it will definitely get twice the result with half the effort. Quote. Control gravity. Fukalos raised his head and raised his face, doubts flashed across his face. Although this world is weak, its abilities are all kinds of strange and diverse, which is quite interesting. Fukalos murmured, then his eyes lit up, and he said doubtfully, hey, since this Zhao Wuji has such an ability, why doesn't he directly control gravity and make these students' bodies heavier, and then perform exercises? Quote. Isn't this effect much better than carrying a stone? After hearing this, Billet's eyes twitched. Yes, why? Perhaps they didn't think of it. I see. Fukalos nodded and then put the matter behind him. The two of them walked around outside the city for a while, and then walked towards Soto City. They couldn't mess around at night. Cultivation was important. Although the protagonist group did not come to fight souls, ordinary fighters and passers-by still brought a lot of benefits to Billet. Over time, the growth was much faster than natural growth. Navalette, today you can't mess around anymore. Fukalos' face was slightly red, and he looked down at his toes, ankles. Live up to the name of Saint Fukalos, the of life. 89. I am the demon Fukalos. Ms. Fukalos, there are many kinds of continuation of life. When he said this, Navalette paused and looked at the tablet in front of Fukalos. No words, not even a word. Navalette shook his head. Fukalos. This guy is really abominable. After the soul fighting is over, you accompany me to eat fruit. Fukalos gritted his teeth and said, viciously. After hearing this, Billet nodded calmly. Fukalos himself has understood the seriousness of the problem and knows that it is time to make up for it, which is good. Also, there are small cakes. When he said this, Fukalos lowered his head and his face turned red. From angry to blushing, it only took a blink of an eye. Okay, Ms. Fukalos. Time passed by, and it was 3 months in the blink of an eye. As Navalette guessed, Lexius first went to visit the 4 major families in the Star Luo Empire before returning to the Tiando Empire. Then he went to a place far away from the 2 houses, and then headed towards Tiando City. The New Year's Eve is coming, and the 8 major families will meet in Tiando City. Today, Navalette received a letter from Lexius, saying that he was taking Fukalos to Tiando City to attend the annual meeting and meet with the patriarchs of other families and others. Originally Lexius was planning to go back to the city of Soto, but the 2 brothers pulled him and couldn't leave, so they asked others to deliver the message back. Ms. Fukalos, the old man invites you to attend the annual meeting of the 8 major families. Are you interested? After Navalette read the letter, he turned to Fukalos who was eating a small cake on the sofa and said. I haven't seen. Fukalos said something subconsciously. Suddenly, she seemed to think of something and paused. She had met several other clan leaders through the perspective of Billet before, but these people had not seen her. If you are shy, we don't have to go. The clan leader will attend the annual meeting. Navalette patted Fukalos on the shoulder and said softly. You cannot help Fukalos make decisions for your own reasons. This is not love, this is possession. I am the demon Fukalos, how can I be shy? The 8 major families are connected by the same spirit, and many members of the clan are married, so there is actually no problem in saying that they are one family. Although Villette was picked up, his current status is the young master of Lexius's lineage, and it is necessary to attend the annual meeting. It doesn't matter, you will have to face it sooner or later anyway. When the time comes for us to get married or something, it's impossible not to invite someone. Ah, Fukalos, what on earth are you talking about? Fukalos patted his face, feeling a little at a loss. Seeing this, Villette raised the corners of his mouth slightly. His wife is so cute. As expected, I still like cute things the most. Dudu, the gold medal commentator of the Soto City Great Soul Fighting Arena, was already on his way to Tiando City. Navalette and Fukalos did not leave because they were waiting for news about Lexius, but they missed the time with Dudu. After tidying up for a while, the two of them set off for Tiando City. If they traveled with all their strength, the distance to Tiando City would not take long. There is still more than a month until the annual meeting, so the two of them are not in a hurry. An old friend once said, "The journey will reach its end one day, so there is no need to rush." On this day, Navalette and Fukalos, who were on their way, suddenly stopped, and a few familiar breaths were moving quickly from behind them. In a moment, a dozen figures came into view. Navalette, Fukalos. When the leader saw these two figures, he subconsciously stopped. The cold sweat on his forehead instantly fell, and his face became extremely pale. It turns out to be Mr. Dai Mubai. Hello. Fukalos smiled and said. Her smile, in Dai Mubai's opinion, was like the face of a devil, very penetrating. After hearing this, Dai Mubai's face turned pale and his body couldn't help but retreat. He really wanted to escape, but he couldn't pick up the speed. Seeing this, Flanders shook his head. Sure enough, the impression this Fukalos left on Dai Mubai would take a lifetime to heal. At this time, Dai Mubai hid in the back, pretending to be an ostrich. Hello, Mr. Flanders. Huh. Villette frowned. Why is Flanders missing a right arm? His memory is very good and he doesn't remember the story of Flanders' severed hand. Wait a minute, 3 months ago, Zhao Wuji said that Flanders was injured, and now he is the strongest in Shrek. This injury refers to a broken arm. The Prince of Villette is still as charming as ever. Flender looked at his empty right hand, sighed, and continued, I am speechless. Little brother Villette, what are you doing? Zhao Wuji walked up at this time and looked at Villette and Fukalos suspiciously. He was familiar with Villette and had only met Navalette once, so he called them little brothers. Navalette, Fukalos, hello. Hello Navalette. Everyone said hello, and Villette replied one after another, and then said, we are preparing to go to Tiando City, what are you guys doing? After hearing this, Tang San's face darkened. They were heading to Tiando City, and it turned out that Villette was going to Tiando City too. Except for Tang San and Dai Mubai, the others didn't feel much. The road faced the sky and everyone walked on one side, and they were free to go wherever they wanted. Yu Xiaogang, who was following the team at the end, when he saw Navalette. His whole body was shaken, and his martial soul seemed to be afraid and trembling. Luo Sanpao has a very strong sense of danger, and Yu Xiaogang trusts Luo Sanpao's judgment. Yu Xiaogang has great opinions on Navalette. 3 months ago, because of Navalette's words, his identity as master was questioned. You can insult him and say that Yu Xiaogang is a waste in soul power cultivation, but you can't question his knowledge. Zhou Wou Qi found Flanders and questioned his knowledge face to face. Because of this, Flanders even had a quarrel with Zhou Wou Qi. However, when Zhao Wuji said the original words of Villette, both Flanders and Yu Xiaogang fell silent. After thinking about it for a while, the two of them discovered that there was something wrong with Yu Xiaogang's teaching method. Although he prepared a medicinal bath, the medicinal bath could not completely solve the sequelae. If these children exercise like this for a long time, there is a real possibility that these children will become useless. At this moment, Flanders also began to question Yu Xiaogang in his heart, but since the two were brothers, he did not express his doubts. Rather, let Yu Xiao just train Tang San. As for the others, let Zhao Wuji train him for actual combat. Although Flanders didn't say it clearly, how could Yu Xiaogang not feel the other party's doubts? 90. Establishing an inquisition. The group chatted for a while, and then Villette realized that Flanders' right arm was actually cut off by Chenxin. He really didn't know about this before. In the end, Navalette rejected the proposal of Zhao Wuji and others to go with him. Unlike Shrek and his group, they didn't need to be in such a hurry when they were on their way. After everyone left, the two looked at each other. There is a slightly stronger force watching them secretly. Could this person be the so-called Tang Hao? Fukalos blinked and said calmly. To her, a titled Douluo like Tang Hao is only slightly more powerful than Tang San, Daimubai and others. It should be him. Navalette nodded and said. His aura is confused, indicating that he is injured. If it weren't for him, I can't think of a second titled Douluo in this situation. The person who secretly followed Shrek and his group was Tang Hao. He left for a while to see how Yin was doing. After accompanying Yin for a while, he returned to Soto City. By chance, I met Shrek Academy who was moving. Tang Hao didn't show up, so he followed secretly, protecting Tang San and preventing Xiaowu from running away. What makes Tang Hao a little confused is that he always feels that Tang San is a little weird now, but he can't tell what is weird for a while. It's very strange anyway. What's going on with the mistress? Why do you have to squat? Ahem. Tang Hao was a little confused, but he didn't think much about it. Maybe this was Tang San's hobby. He couldn't beat Tang San and tell him that it was unmanly and wrong. This will not only damage Tang San's self-confidence, but also leave Tang San with no secrets to speak of. At this time, Tang Hao recalled the scene just now. Although he did not come out from the dark, he did see Villette and Fukalos. The feeling this young girl gave him was vague and trance-like calm stagnant water or stormy waves. It must be my imagination, they look not much older than the mistress, how could they make me feel threatened? Absolutely impossible. He is a titled Douluo with a 100,000-year-old soul ring, and his soul power level is as high as 95. It's not that Tang Hao is conceited. With his strength, as long as he is unwilling to come out from the darkness, many titled Douluo will not be able to discover him. While Navalette and Fukalos were talking to Zhao Wuji and others, they glanced at the place where he was hiding his figure. Could it be a coincidence? HMPH, no matter how arrogant you are, you will eventually be my son Tang San's whetstone. As for Villette, he didn't know what Tang Hao was thinking. After chatting with Fukalos about Tang Hao for a few words, the topic was forgotten by them. Tang Hao. No threat at all. Such an opponent simply cannot arouse the interest of the two of them. Besides, Navalette and Fukalos both have gentle personalities, and under normal circumstances, they would almost never take the initiative. There is no deep hatred between the two parties. Could it be that because he is Tang Hao will be killed at the slightest disagreement? Of course, if there is a tribunal, then they will take action against Tang Hao and arrest Tang Hao to judge him for his past crimes. Little Nawe, what do you think if we establish a tribunal on Douluo Continent? I don't know what Fukalos was thinking, but her eyes suddenly lit up and she said to Navalette. Ms. Fukalos, please put away your naive thoughts for the time being. This will cause disputes throughout the Douluo Continent. Villette said without changing his face that he had thought about this before, but after thinking about it, he temporarily gave up on this naive idea. On Douluo Continent, almost every noble would do something to oppress the people. And the extraordinary power brought by the Soul Master. Spirit Masters are not responsible for killing ordinary people. That's right, the law here in the Tiando Empire is like this. If a Soul Master kills an ordinary person, then the ordinary person deserves to die, and the Soul Master is not responsible. Whether they are civilians, nobles, or Soul Masters, they have all become accustomed to this way of life. Before changing this thinking logic, establishing the tribunal is almost equivalent to going against the entire Douluo Continent. The two of them are not locals, to begin with. Their kind hearts allow them to help the people in front of them, but they cannot help the entire Douluo Continent. Ms. Fukalos, for the time being, we can only help the injustice in front of us and spread the idea of fairness and justice. Only when many and more people recognize and fight for it can the Inquisition be successfully established. Some things cannot be changed by strong force, such as the human heart. After hearing this, Fukalos suddenly realized that as the god of water, she was not stupid, otherwise she would not have been able to deceive Navalette and Tianli for 500 years. A change is needed. Yes, we can only initiate a revolution to unify the entire Douluo Continent, and through education, Let the world realize that everyone is equal, and that strength and power are not the key to doing whatever you want. Navalette said calmly, while Fukalos raised his head and looked at Navalette with a serious look on his face. Little Nawe, you have really grown up. Fukalos and Navalette looked at each other, gently caressed Navalette's cheek with his right hand, and said with a smile. Her eyes seemed to flash with a look of relief. The corner of Vilette's eye twitched. Was Fukalos testing him? Take your time and spread the name of justice first. Time passed, and after about 10 days, Navalette and Fukalos arrived in Tiando City. Tiando City, this is the second time that Navalette has come, a city that is both familiar and unfamiliar. As the capital of the Tiando Empire, the streets are not as lively as Soto City. Most of the pedestrians were dressed in fine clothes. When walking on the street, their words and deeds were full of the attitude that a noble should have. As for small businessmen and hawkers, there are none in Tiando City. It is not forbidden, but almost no one will patronize them. Most of the people living in the city are nobles from the Tiando Empire, or they are servants or sole masters of the nobles. Visiting the stalls of small merchants and vendors will only affect the nobles' strong character. It was already evening when Naval and Fukalos arrived in Tiando City. At this time, the great soul fighting arena in Tiando City has begun to get busy. The two of them did not go to the soul fighting arena now, but wandered around the streets of Tiando City. The streets of Tiando City were a little less popular, but Naval and Fukalos didn't care. The mood of shopping is not in the things around you, but in the people who accompany you shopping. The appearance of these two people made some nobles shine. After looking at the two people for a while, they all shook their heads. Just looking at the clothes of this young man and the girl, they knew that their origins were not simple, and they could not be easily contacted or offended. At this moment, an elegant and easy-going voice appeared behind Navalette. I thought I recognized the wrong person, but I didn't expect it was really you, Villette. Chapter 91. Qian Renxue is going to find a girl. Navalette and Fukalos paused in their steps. The voice was somewhat familiar and they must have seen it before. They subconsciously turned around and looked towards the distance from where the voice came from. When the two of them saw who it was, they looked at each other, with a flash of surprise in their eyes. He is still dressed up by Shui Qinghe, with an approachable smile on his face, giving people a feeling of being easy to get along with. It turns out to be His Royal Highness. Hello. Villette said without changing his expression, and there was no change at all because he knew his identity. I didn't expect that when I first came to Tiando City, I would meet the Saint of Wuhun Palace again. The last time I met her, it seemed that she was the same as before. That's right, it was the last time I came to Tiando City. After taking a brief look at Shui Qinghe, from the somewhat surprised look in his eyes, one could tell that this was really a chance encounter, rather than a planned meeting. Hearing this, Shui Qinghe sighed. Hey. Then he continued. Little brother Villette, you are still so polite. She briefly looked at Fukalos next to Villette. This girl has a peerless appearance, has the same hair color as Navalette, and is also very particular about her clothes. You can tell at a glance that she is a lady. Sorry, Your Highness, we are all used to communicating like this. Navalette's words made Shui Qinghe a little embarrassed. Indeed, Navalette's character was like this. The last time we met by chance in Tiando City, he was the same way. This time, she met Navalette by chance. In Qian Renxue's heart, this is a genius with talent and background. Although the 8 major families are neutral, it is not impossible to conquer him. In order to ease the embarrassment, Shui Qinghe said, Little brother Villette, this girl has an outstanding temperament. Although she is still young, she is also stunning in the world. Why don't you introduce me to my brother? As if remembering something, Shui Qinghe added, Of course, everyone has a love for beauty, and I don't have the idea of taking away others' favor. By saying this, he was afraid that Navalette might misunderstand him and think that he was pursuing something. Navalette and Fukalos looked at each other, the corners of their eyes twitching slightly. They both knew the details of Shueqing River. Even if he wanted to do something, how could he do it? Without waiting for Navalette's introduction, Fukalos said, Hello, I am Fukalos, Navalette's fiancé. There is nothing surprising about Shui Qinghe. The two of them stand together. Although they look like siblings, they also look like husband and wife. Little brother, to be honest, you have such a beautiful fiancé, I am so envious of you. If he has such a fiancé, Qinghe will definitely stay with her for the rest of his life. It's a pity that famous flowers have owners. It's Qinghe Menglang, I'm sorry. Hello, Miss Fukalos. Shui Qinghe makes people feel humble and elegant, and very easy to get along with. His Royal Highness, you are joking. With your reputation, life experience, and appearance, Your Highness, what kind of girl can't you find? Navalette said calmly. After what Villette said, Shui Qinghe was shocked all over. Originally, she just suddenly saw this genius again and wanted to make acquaintance with him and, if possible, use him as her own. After hearing this, Shui Qinghe suddenly realized that she was not too young to pretend to be Shui Qinghe. If she didn't find one, would Shui Yi, the ministers, Shui Xing and others doubt her? You must know that a normal prince, even if he is only a descendant of a noble family, should have married a wife or taken a concubine by her age. Should I find someone to hide from others? Shui Qinghe fell into deep thought. After a while, Shui Qinghe came back to her senses. She felt that she should think about this matter carefully. Since it was a disguise, there should be no flaws. It is necessary to find someone to deceive others. As for who to look for, that is up for debate. Villette and Fukalos felt a little strange when they saw Shui Qinghe suddenly stopped talking. They are not Shui Qinghe. How could they know that she was actually thinking about this? After thinking for a moment, Villette said expressionlessly, Your Highness, if nothing happens, we will leave. Since Qian Renxue doesn't seem to have anything going on, there is no need to spend time with her here. This is a pure waste of time. It's better to find a quieter store with Fukalos and live out their lives together. Navalette's appearance made the nobles passing by not far away look at each other. Good guy, whose son is this? Prince Shui Qinghe was chatting with him, but he seemed a little ungrateful. By the way, it seems that His Highness the Crown Prince took the initiative to talk to me. Forget it, His Highness the Crown Prince actually still calls the other party little brother. Comma. Everyone took a breath of cold air and kept thinking in their hearts, who is this young man? Is it because of his status or other reasons that he deserves to be treated like this by Prince Shui Qinghe? Although Shui Qinghe is elegant and easygoing, it is still very rare to talk to someone on the street. What makes everyone even more confused is Shui Qinghe's attitude. He is really a little too kind-hearted, right? A hot face against a cold face, ahem, this kind of thing happened, but they found that Shui Qinghe didn't seem to be angry at all. When even the smiles on their faces did not change, these nobles became even more confused. That is why there's nothing wrong with being a brother. Shui Qinghe is not angry. It is a good thing to be able to conquer the other party. It does not matter if he cannot conquer the other party. If it succeeds, it will be an unexpected surprise. Looking at Villette's attitude, she knew that the 8 major families' absolute neutrality was not just talk. He came to Tiando City at this time. It seems that Navalette is indeed a direct member of one of the 8 major families. The intelligence of Wuhun Palace is very powerful. Tiando City has recently gathered some new faces, and their strength is not weak. They often come in and out of the soul fighting arena. Is it even necessary to think about it? The annual meeting of the 8 major families should be held at the Tiando Spirit Arena this year. We were separated for a few days last time, and today I see you again, my little brother. I'm really happy for you. Why don't you go to the house with me as your brother, so that you can show your kindness as a landlord? Shui Qinghe had a faint smile on his face, and was not angry at Villette's unkindness. The two parties were not very familiar with each other, they just chatted a few words. Besides, her current identity is the Tiando royal family, the crown prince of the Tiando Empire. If the 8 major families have thoughts about the Tiando royal family, then there is a high possibility that there will be one more target on the Wuhun Palace's sanctions list. For Wuhun Palace, what are the 8 hidden families? It's just a force composed of 8 contras, a force that can be destroyed easily. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel Chapter 92. Exploring the details of Navalette and Fukalos. Sorry, Your Highness, we cannot accompany you. Navalette shook his head and said without even thinking about it. Although the prince's mansion is not a dragon's den or a tiger's den, once you go there, things will become very troublesome. Navalette doesn't like trouble, he prefers a peaceful life. Qian Renxue's current identity is Prince Tiando. Navalette's current identity is the young master of one of the 8 hidden families. Furthermore, the Hidden World family said a long time ago that they would not participate in any disputes on the Douluo Continent. They did it. This is why Bibi Dong beat up all the famous forces in the entire Douluo Continent, but nothing happened to the 8 major families. The fighting spirit field was not even affected at all, even after the war was over. Go to Prince Tiandu's residence with the Saint of Wuhun Palace. This is much more interesting than werewolf killing. After hearing this, the disappointment on Shui Qinghei's face flashed across her face, but there was no change in her eyes, because she had already known this would be the result. Next time, maybe I can use my identity as Wuhuntian to test him. I don't know what status Navalette is among the 8 major families. Judging from his words and deeds, as well as his indescribable temperament, he is definitely not simple. Qian Renxue believed in her own vision. Especially the way Villette and Fukalos look at people, it's like the way nobles look at ordinary civilians. No, this is not the right description. Suddenly, Qian Renxue's eyes lit up. The way they look at others is like people looking at monkeys and orangutans. Thinking of this, Qian Renxue swallowed her saliva, feeling a little surprised and confused. They are like higher beings, looking down at the world, loving the world, but at the same time they are a little out of place. Right, that is it. It was impossible for her to believe that Villette was just an ordinary member of the 8 major families. Villette needs to investigate carefully, and this Fukalos. I don't know why, Qian Renxue always feels a little insignificant, even a little depressed in front of Fukalos. She once suspected that this was an illusion, because the feeling only passed by briefly. Shui Qinghei smiled awkwardly and said, "Since the little brother doesn't want to, I won't bother you anymore for the sake of my brother, let's just leave it alone." Little brother, Miss Fukalos, leave Qinghei. Shui Qinghei cupped his hands, the hypocritical smile still hanging on his face, not changing at all. Your Highness, please walk slowly and don't see me off. Everyone. The crowd watching not far away were all numb. Fortunately, I still have some brains. Although I am a playboy, I have not caused any trouble for the family. The person who said this looked at Fukalos, but for a moment, he looked away again. They, the descendants of nobles, still know what kind of people they can and cannot provoke. Otherwise, it would be impossible to live till now. I just looked at that young man and knew that he was not someone I could mess with, so I didn't even dare to have the slightest idea. Look, how much is his body worth? After hearing this, everyone subconsciously looked at Villette's clothes. I don't know, I am startled at a glance. It's just normal clothes. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince just now was like a poor man facing a great nobleman in front of him. Although Shui Qinghei's clothes are very particular, they only cost 1 or 2,000 gold soul coins at most. After all, they are just for daily wear and not for any important occasions. But what about Villette? Let's not talk about craftsmanship, just materials. Without tens of thousands of gold soul coins, you will definitely not be able to get it. There are not many forces in the entire Douluo continent that can be so arrogant, right? No matter which one it is, ordinary nobles cannot offend it. Everyone has made outstanding contributions to the warming of the far north. Navalette didn't pay attention to what everyone was talking about. The people in Tiando City talked about it, but their voices were much quieter. After all, most of them were descendants of nobles, and they had the dignity of being nobles. The situation is different in Soto City. If Navalette stays on the street for more than 2 minutes during the day, he will definitely be surrounded. Ms. Fukalos, let's go too. Navalette stretched out his right hand in a very gentlemanly manner and said to Fukalos. Okay, Mr. Navalette. Fukalos naturally put his left hand on it and said with a smile. The scene changed to Qian Renxue's side. She has returned to the prince's mansion, and even in her study, she never took off her disguise. Walking to the window alone, with her hands behind her back, Qian Renxue's aura suddenly changed and she said, Uncle Shilong, help me check out Navalette and his fiancée Fukalos. As Qian Renxue finished speaking, a tall and burly figure appeared in the study. There is about 10 meters away from Qian Renxue's current position. He looks old, probably 70 or 80 years old, but his energy is extremely strong. This person is none other than Shi Long, a member of Wuhun Hall and Elder Hall. He is a powerful man at the level of titled Douluo. Miss, the 8 major families have never been involved in the disputes on the Douluo Continent. Is it inappropriate for us to investigate each other rashly? It doesn't matter, Uncle Shi Long, just do as I say. Qian Renxue said without looking back. It is indeed inappropriate to do this, but if she does not investigate clearly and satisfy her curiosity, she will not give up no matter what. Yes, miss. Remind Qian Renxue once that he has done his duty, but Qian Renxue insists on going his own way. If he continues to persuade, he will commit the following crimes. After Shi Long agreed, his figure slowly disappeared from the place. The 8 major families are in some trouble, but not much. The reason why such a force can survive to this day is not because of how strong they are, but because they are sensible. I won't help anyone, just do whatever you want. After Shi Long disappeared, Qian Renxue shook her head and threw away the thoughts in her mind. She still had a lot of work to complete. For the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition qualifiers in 2 years' time, will we need to cooperate with the Tiando Great Soul Fighting Arena. The qualifiers for the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition will start. To be precise, it should be 2.5 years away, which is 1 kun year. In order to train, the prince, Emperor Shui Yi would hand over many memorials to the prince, Shui Qinghe, which is why the plan appeared with her. The scene changed, and on the side of Villette and Fukalos. 93. 8 hidden families. After bidding farewell to Qian Renxue, the saint of Wuhun Palace and concurrently the crown prince of the Tiando Empire, Navalette and Fukalos walked around Tiando City before walking towards the Tiando City Soul Arena. The location of the fighting arena is usually located in the center of a main city, which is the most prime location. Because this is Tiando City, the capital of the Tiando Empire, it is obviously impossible to build a spirit fighting arena in the center. At the same time, in the Great Soul Fighting Arena of Tiando City, a group of old men who looked to be in their 70s or 80s gathered together at this time, with a smile on everyone's face. Only the old man with blonde hair looks younger. Judging from his appearance, he is about 50 years old, but his actual age is not much different from others, or even older. Brother Lake, you have posed a difficult problem for the brothers. The person who said this was a tall and burly old man. Although he looked old, his energy was still very strong. As soon as these words came out, everyone present except Lexius nodded, but the smiles on their faces did not diminish. Compared with what they paid, what they got was simply beyond their imagination. Moffat, stop talking nonsense. If you don't come up with something good, don't blame my brother for being unkind. It doesn't matter if you can't take back what you gave me. I can still beat you. Lexius crossed his arms and said with a smile. The 2 self-created soul skills were taken out, so naturally it is impossible to get them back, but if he is unhappy, he will really do it. As soon as Lexius said this, the old man named Moffat was shaken subconsciously and shrank his neck. After decades of friendship, he naturally did not think that Lexius was joking. He was no match for Lexius before, let alone now that Lexius has broken through to the title Douluo. 8 major families, the first strong person to break through to the title of Douluo. When negotiating with other forces in the future, the 8 major families will also have more confidence. This is the confidence brought by having the most powerful person. Don't worry, Brother Lake, I've brought all my wealth with me this time, and I will never let you down. Moffat said confidently. Compared to the 2 self-created soul skills that can be passed down to the world, what he brought is a bit insignificant. Moffat is the patriarch of the Morris family and inherits the martial spirit, iron-armored monitor. His original name was Maurice Fit, but for simplicity, he was simply called Moffat. Only on important occasions, he will say his original name. Brother Lake, in my opinion, it's better not to let Ching marry little Navalette. Don't worry, the dowry. Before the old man could finish speaking, Lexius quickly waved his hand and said, stop. Lili, my grandson already has a fiancé. This matter is not something I can decide, brother. To tell you the truth, Brother, I really like this granddaughter-in-law from the bottom of my heart. As for Qingqing. Speaking of this, Lexius thought for a moment and became a little silent. He also watched Lei Qingqing grow up. She was 15 years old, her soul power level had reached level 35, she was handsome, and she was a rare granddaughter-in-law. It's a pity that compared with Fukalos, Lei Qingqing was completely defeated. Seeing that Lexius was silent, the old man named Lei looked a little confused. He is really a bit defensive. Yes, the defense was broken. You should know that his granddaughter Lei Qingqing inherited the family's martial spirit and had innate 8th level soul power. She has already reached level 35 at the age of 15. Talents like this are very likely to hit titled Douluo in the future. The Lei family originally trained Lei Qingqing as the next clan leader. It might be a little difficult to be titled a Douluo, but it would not be a big problem for her to become a Contra. Brother Lake, it's not my fault. The number of women of the same age who can compare with Qingqing in the entire Douluo Continent is definitely not more than 10. I really like little Navel, you. Rayleigh was so angry that he blew his beard and stared. What was wrong with his granddaughter? Brother Rayleigh, that's not what I meant. Lexius came back to his senses at this time and waved his hand. Then what does your frown mean? Rayleigh asked doubtfully, his eyes filled with confusion. If he couldn't defeat Lexius, he would have to let the opponent taste the power of his 5 lightning whips. That's right, the Lei family's ancestral martial spirit is the lightning whip, a whip with thunder attributes. At the same time, the Lei family is also the only control system among the 8 major families. You know, that kid Momo has been staring at my Qingqing for a long time, and I didn't even agree. As soon as Riley said this, Moffat gave him a resentful look. That kid Momo is his useless grandson. What the hell, this old guy is not a good person, just say it, why do you want to compare? Among the younger generation, who can compare with the innate soul power, Navelite? Qingqing is good, but I prefer Fukalos, my granddaughter-in-law. Lexius said without changing his expression, picked up the tea and took a sip calmly. Forehead. Laley opened his mouth slightly, wanting to say something, but stopped. Fukalos. Everyone murmured in confusion. This strange name didn't seem to belong to the 8 major families. No, Brother Lake, they say that good things don't go to outsiders. Ahem, although it's a bit inappropriate to describe it this way, little Navel is indeed worthy of being described like this. Why did he? Before everyone could finish speaking, Lexius said quietly, among the self-created soul skills you have obtained, Fukalos has a share. After hearing this, everyone immediately stopped talking. Even Rayleigh put away his dissatisfaction and said, well, yes, the girl Fukalos is indeed more suitable for little Navelet than Qingqing. It was me who was short-sighted before. The change of expression was faster than turning the pages of a book, but no one felt anything was wrong, because they thought so too. If little Navelet finds a few more girls like this, the foundation of our 8 major families will reach a new peak. Lexius' eyes twitched. After these old guys saw the benefits, they immediately threw his grandson away, right? When you have time, beat them all up and you will be honest. Before Lexius broke through the titled Douluo, he was the most powerful among the 8 if he fought alone. Not to mention that his martial spirit has evolved and has broken through to the level of titled Douluo. It would be great if my Momo could be half as successful as little Navel. My grandson is also useless. Okay, stop flattering me. I still know what you old guys are thinking. Lexius curled his lips and continued, let me tell you clearly, my grandson's future achievements will never be just an ordinary title. 94. Tell the truth and they won't listen. My grandson Navelet's future achievements will definitely not be that of an ordinary titled Douluo. Lexius knows a little bit about Villet's current combat effectiveness. Yulong, a dragon that has been around for more than 95,000 years, can kill instantly. With such strength, even the 8 old guys in the hall together would not be able to achieve this level of strength. Now Navelet has grown up completely. Lexius recalled the scene when he picked up Villet. Only more than 10 years had passed, and the little guy had grown to the point where he needed to look up to him. After hearing this, everyone looked at each other. They knew that Navelet was innately full of soul power, and had the qualifications to become a titled Douluo. But, is there something wrong with what Lexius said? Is he so sure that Villette can become the pinnacle of the world? What if you get slapped in the face? Of course, everyone is the sixth child, so it is naturally impossible to say this. Ah, yes, yes, little Navilette's talent is very rare in the entire Douluo Continent, and he has the qualifications to become one of the two great mountains. The so-called two mountains here refer to Qian Dalu and Tangchen. Qian Dalu and Tangchen are both 99-level titled Douluo, and their strength has reached the pinnacle of the human world. For 100 years, there have only been these two 99-level titled Douluo in the Douluo Continent. They are also known as the two sacred mountains of the Soul Master world. It's the pull, it's the pull. It's just a matter of time before little Navilette becomes the third mountain. I don't know if we can witness it with our own eyes. Hearing these words, black lines appeared on Lexius's forehead. He was so perfunctory. These guys, when they were not allowed to tell the truth, they believed it, and they believed it without any doubt. When telling them the truth, yes, it was completely perfunctory, just to give Lexius face. Actually, they don't believe it at all. In a few years, look at how my grandson will slap you in the face. Lexius thought to himself, but didn't say much. Explanation is impossible to explain. He, Lexius, acted only based on his mood throughout his life. He is in a very bad mood now. Grandpa. At this moment, a girl walked in, and she called out to Rayleigh obediently. This girl is about 1.7 meters tall. She is very beautiful and slim. She is only 15 years old and already looks beautiful. Behind her, there was a tall young man with a silly smile on his face. Qingqing has met Grandpa Lake, Grandpa Mo, M.I. After saying hello to Lei Li, Lei Qingqing immediately said hello to the clan leaders, quite like a lady. Hey, Qingqing is so big. Not bad, not bad. Silly boy, why are you still giggling? Why don't you say hello to your grandpas? After talking about Lei Qingqing, Moffat was so angry that he slapped Momo on the shoulder and said, "The Mo family is already tall because of their martial arts. Otherwise, how could they be defensive soul masters?" When Moffat speaks, as long as his voice is slightly louder, it is no different from shouting. Hearing Moffat's voice, Momo was shocked and shrank his neck in fear. He usually received training. If the old man was in a bad mood, he might be beaten. Yes. Momo quickly said hello to several clan leaders, and everyone nodded, except Lei Li, who was not very happy. If Navilette pursues Lei Qingqing, he will directly agree without saying a word, but this Momo. The man looks quite tall, but his character is really too timid to become a great person. Even if he is Moffat's grandson, he may not be the patriarch of the Mo family in the future unless he can change his character. Qingqing, didn't you go to see the fighting spirit? Why are you back now? Lei Li asked doubtfully. He knew very well what was going on with his granddaughter. Even though Lei Qingqing looks like a lady, she only behaves like this in front of the older generation. Her character is extremely aggressive. She participates in soul fighting almost every day. If she doesn't fight, her hands will itch. Grandpa, today there are some great soul masters who are busy. Ahem, there is nothing interesting about the duel between great soul masters, so Brother Mo and I are back. As for Brother Xiaobai and the others, they were going to play for a while, so they didn't come back. A few black lines appeared on Lei Li's forehead. Lei Qingqing has already let the matter slip. Then why don't you play? Xiaobai and the others are also soul masters. Forehead. Lei Qingqing was stunned. Could it be that she said it was because Brother Xiaobai, Sister Dudu and others were too bad to be interested at all? As a lady, it is naturally impossible for Lei Qingqing to say such words. After thinking for a moment, Lei Qingqing said, "When it comes to fighting souls with Brother Xiaobai and the others, they always leave me alone, which is not good." Qingqing, that's not the case, you are obviously stronger than us. Momo said with a serious face. After hearing this, Lei Qingqing's eyes twitched. Is Brother Mo really stupid, or is he pretending to be stupid? Didn't you see her trying to make the old man happy? He rolled his eyes calmly. Momo's strength is good, but unfortunately, he is not her cup of tea. This guy's character is too weak. If she had been stronger and showed some momentum, she might have agreed to the other party's pursuit. Several patriarchs smiled and gave Moffat and Riley a somewhat thoughtful look. Hey! Riley and Moffat sighed. It would be nice if this kid girl had a different personality. What a pity, what a pity. Okay, stop laughing at the kids. Aren't you guys from the same age here? Do you want me to tell you something scandalous? Lexius said with his arms crossed. Everyone rolled their eyes. When you laughed just now, weren't you the most exaggerated? You will be the good guy, and we will be the bad guy. Time passed. About an hour later, all the children who had followed their elders to Tiando City had returned. There are 4 men and 3 women in total, and Soto City's gold medal host Dudu is also among them. Although she is not the young master of the family, she is the granddaughter of a patriarch, so she is naturally qualified to participate in the annual meeting. At this time, Navalette and Fukalos also arrived at the Great Soul Fighting Arena in Tiando City. After showing their tokens, the 2 of them arrived outside the hall under the leadership of the staff. Due to their status, the staff did not enter the room. They just took Naval and Fukalos out of the hall, then turned around and returned to their jobs. He did this for a reason. What if he heard something he shouldn't know? This is self-protection. Grandson, granddaughter-in-law. New year, new atmosphere. I wish you all a happy new year and all the best. Well, for the new year, I am asking for some recommendation votes, monthly passes, gifts, etc. Thanks. 95. The Sigh of the Sea of Gathering Spirits. At the annual meeting, with the entrance of Naval and Fukalos, everyone was finally here. After saying hello to everyone, Billet took Fukalos to his seat. After 3 rounds of wine, the 5 flavors of food are over. This is where we get to the point. Moffat was the first to speak. Little Navalette, the self-created soul skills you and your wife have brought to our 8 families cannot be estimated in terms of value. After our discussion, starting from this year, 1% of the income from the soul fighting arena will be transferred to your name unconditionally. And, your direct descendants can also inherit this benefit. As soon as these words came out, the younger generation's eyes changed when they looked at Billet and Fukalos. Yes, don't underestimate this 1% profit. This is 1% of the income from all the spirit arenas, which is equivalent to Navalette and Fukalos permanently occupying 1% of the spirit arena shares. Even if 2 people pass away, their direct descendants will still enjoy this 1% share. As long as you don't spend it indiscriminately, you won't be able to spend it all. You must know that there are many direct descendants of the 8 major families, and no one, including the clan leader, can enjoy such treatment. This is also why Lexius said those words when Navalite's martial spirit awakened. If he can't become a soul master, his pocket money will be enough for Billet to spend a lifetime, but this refers to pocket money, not the share of the spirit arena. So, those 2 soul skills were brought by Billet and his wife. Although the younger generation was surprised, they had no objections. In fact, the contribution of the purple demon eyes is too great. This is a technique that will benefit generations to come. From this point of view, 1% does not seem to be much. Of course, in addition to this, Grandpa Mo, I also want to express my opinion. Speaking of this, Moffat took out a square and very simple box from his storage soul guide. As one of the 8 clan heads, although storage soul guides are precious and rare, they have no shortage of them. Navalette and Fukalos looked at each other. They really didn't expect that the theme of this annual meeting would be the return gift of the 2 self-created soul skills. No wonder, when eating before, everyone would look at them more, intentionally or unintentionally. This is a temporarily revised theme of the annual meeting. It won't work without modification. If Lexius gets angry and doesn't let them play, it will be a big problem. Little Navalette and his wife Fukalos, this is a gift prepared by Grandpa Mo for you. Open it and take a look. Moffat put the box on the table, folded his hands, and looked proud. No soul master can refuse this gift. This is the most treasured treasure of his Mo family. If it weren't for the 2 self-created soul skills, and Lexius's fist, he would never have been able to take it out. Grandson's daughter-in-law, your Grandpa Mo gave this to you. Open it quickly and take a look. If you are not satisfied, I will go to his house to help you find a better one. Lexius said with a smile on his face. When he saw the box, he roughly knew what Moffat had given him. It was indeed a treasure. Looking at Moffat, this old guy is actually willing to give up. After hearing this, Moffat's eyes twitched and his whole body trembled. He pointed at Lexius and said, "You bandit." "Thank you, Grandpa Mo." Navalette clicked and said, "But this box is not simple, it actually has the effect of isolating soul power. Is it even necessary to think about it? The contents inside are mostly soul bones, that are of no use to him or Fukalos. The treasures regarded by other soul masters have no effect on Billet and Fukalos." Navalette took the box and opened it directly. Suddenly, a strong wave of soul power erupted in the hall, and light blue brilliance popped out of the box. "How is it, little Naval, do you like it? This is the soul bone of the head that is more than 75,000 years old, and it is called the Sigh of the Sea of Gathered Spirits." Moffat said with a smile on his face. A look of pain also appeared on his face. "The value of this head soul bone is no less than the value of a leg soul bone that is about 100,000 years old." The younger generation took a breath of cold air, and the somewhat naive Momo looked at his grandfather in confusion. "Good guy, who is your biological grandson? This soul bone has something to do with your grandfather, Brother Lake. When I was wandering the sea with him." "Forget it, the past is not worth mentioning." Halfway through speaking, Moffat seemed to remember something, and quickly shook his head and said. "Because, he saw Alexius's murderous eyes. You can't hide the look in someone's eyes that wants to kill you." It's okay if Moffat didn't say anything. Once he did, Lexius instantly understood where this soul bone came from. "Good guy, this old man hid it secretly. The fist is hard. You, an old boy, don't respect martial ethics, you actually hide it secretly and wait for me." Lexius moved his lips slightly and said through the voice. Moffat seemed not to have heard anything and looked up at the ceiling, leisurely. "Navalette. Like it. Don't say it is a head soul bone that is more than 75,000 years old, so what if it is a head soul bone that is 100,000 years old? Thank you again, Grandpa Mo, I like it very much." Navalette said against his will. "This thing has a fatal temptation for soul masters." From the expressions of Moffat and Lexius, it is not difficult to tell that Moffat hid this soul bone secretly, but he did not absorb it. Hiding it privately does not mean that this soul bone does not belong to Moffat, but that after he obtained the soul bone, he did not tell Lexius. The main reason is that he is afraid that the bandits will rob him. With the relationship between the two of them, even if Lexius knew about it, it would be impossible to this soul bone. First of all, he himself is of the fire attribute. The sigh of the sea where the spirit gathers is superficially the attribute of spiritual power, but it also has the attribute of water. Lexius absorbs it, isn't that looking for death? The head soul bone is not a joke. Secondly, the two of them have almost grown up together. How could the brotherhood for so many years be shaken by a soul bone? Billet calmly put away the soul bone. "This thing has a certain collection value. It's my turn." After Billet put away the soul bone, Rayleigh smiled and said, "I didn't expect Brother Mo to be able to come up with such a treasure. My gift seems a lot worse." Having said this, Rayleigh also took out a simple box from the storage soul guide. This box looked much smaller than the previous one, and it probably didn't contain soul bones. "This is a treasure I got unexpectedly when I was traveling in my early years. It is a defensive soul tool. Everyone knows that since that era, soul engineers who can make soul guidance devices." Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel 96, Is She Long Exposed? The soul master who can make soul guides disappeared without a trace overnight. Today, most of the remaining soul guidance devices are storage soul guidance devices. Offensive soul guides and defensive soul guides are almost impossible to find on Douluo Continent. Layleigh's words won everyone's approval. That's true. Storage soul guides can be passed down for a long time due to their craftsmanship. Because most of the materials for making storage soul guides are gems and the like. These gems have a certain space in themselves. With a little processing and inscriptions, they can last for a long time. Attack and defense soul guides are different in that they are made of some special metals. If used for a long time, it will eventually get damaged. It is not as durable as a storage soul guide. There are naturally very few that can be passed down. Of course, those that can be passed down are almost all extremely powerful beings. For example, the Boundless Sea Universe cover is the heart of the sea god. That's right, Poseidon's heart also belongs to the category of soul guidance device. The 8 major families have a long heritage, and there are still records of soul guidance tools and soul mentors. This is why everyone agrees with what Raleigh said. Navalette was a little surprised. You must know that there are very few defensive soul guides at this time. Being able to come up with a defensive soul guidance device can be regarded as a big deal. Unfortunately, this thing seems to be of little use. As a perfect dragon, Navalette's strength is still in its infancy, but there are very few people on Douluo Continent who can hurt him now, very few. If it can hurt him, even a defensive soul tool can't save his life. Not to mention Fukalos, she is a demon. Although his strength has not yet returned to its peak level, it is not something that the gods on Douluo Continent can deal with. By the way, the 500-year-old demon is also in his infancy, and the former Fukalos did not reach his peak. The 500-year-old demon god does not mean that Fukalos only lived for 500 years, but that she only became a demon god for 500 years. As one of the descendants of the water Egolia, Fukalos has been a pure water elf for a long time. Little Navi, open it and take a look. Laylee stroked his beard and smiled. This defensive soul tool once saved Rayleigh's life. He didn't know exactly what level of attack it could withstand. Lei Qingqing curled her lips at the side, she didn't care at all, defensive. Only the weak can defend themselves. Powerful attacks, constant attacks, and crazy attacks are what Lei Qingqing pursues. This defensive soul tool Rayleigh once gave to her, but she rejected it. Master, you never need to defend. Huh, Grandpa knows how to use rags to fool little navigation. Poor little guy, you don't even know that you've been fooled. Lei Qingqing secretly thought in her heart, but did not say it out loud. As a lady, she still needs to learn basic etiquette. For this matter, her grandfather spent a lot of time thinking. At this time, neither Lei Li nor Lei Qingqing knew how powerful this defensive soul tool was. Thank you, Grandpa Lei. Navalette nodded his thanks and then opened the box. What comes into view is a palm-sized red breast shield, lying quietly in the box, as if it has no power at all. Looking at the breast shield, Billet raised his eyebrows. He had a vague feeling that this thing was not simple. It doesn't look like a separate individual, but rather like an accessory of some armor. Little Navi, don't be fooled by its appearance. Back then, this little thing allowed me, a soul emperor, to escape from the mouth of a 50,000-year-old beast king. Speaking of this, Lei Li was still a little scared. No matter what, the most dangerous thing he had ever experienced in his life was being chased by that beast king. At that time, he was just a soul emperor. Without this mirror, he would probably not be the leader of the Lei family today. As soon as these words came out, the clan leaders looked at Lei Li. Has this sixth person ever had such an experience? Why didn't he speak up and share it before? Let brothers be happy. Thank you, Grandpa Lei. This defensive soul tool is too valuable. It's really useless for me to get it. The second half of the sentence was Navalette's inner voice, but he did not say it out loud. If he said this, Rayleigh might not just throw up his sleeves and leave. Take what is given to you. Without waiting for Navet, Rayleigh waved his hand and continued, your temperament of Sister Qingqing, presumably you know that her girl is very good. Now that all the brothers are here, you can still protect her. I'll wait 100 years from now. Ahem, we won't talk about this at the annual meeting. You are the most talented among the new generation. In the future, these children will depend on you. Take it, you deserve it. Yes, it's just 2 self-created soul skills, which are not worth the money of old guys like them. What they are more interested in is the future Naval. This annual meeting is more like an investment. First of all, Navalette is one of his own, and he shared 2 self-created soul skills with everyone. Secondly, Lexius broke through to the title Douluo, and Navalette also had the qualifications to become a title Douluo. Otherwise, how could they, the 6th generation, receive soul bones and ancient soul tools as gifts? Rayleigh's words were all about this, and Velit didn't think much about it. Thanks again, thanks for some of them. Although it is useless, it is Rayleigh's heart after all. Not long after, Navalette also finished receiving the gifts from other clan leaders. Among them, the majority are soul bones. On the Douluo road, the thing that a soul master values most, besides the soul ring, is the soul bone. They thought that what they came up with was the best, but unfortunately, the soul bones were of no use to Villette. When I come to visit you in the future, I will just return it. Navalette thought to himself. You cannot refuse the other person's gift at this time, otherwise, when they are old, where will they put their face? After Navalette collected the gift and returned to his seat, the return gift was over. Everyone started chatting again, telling what interesting things happened in the places under their jurisdiction. Suddenly, Villette frowned, as did Fukalos, who was sitting next to him. Just now, a familiar yet unfamiliar breath suddenly arrived. Villette vaguely felt that he had sensed this breath before. Navalette was lost in thought. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Wasn't this the person who was secretly watching him and Fukalos when he was communicating with Qian Renxue? I don't know if it's Shilong or Shui Shui. Shilong just arrived and didn't know about the previous return gifts. Just after looking at Villette, Shilong felt a faint chill on his back. Why didn't he feel this way before? 97. I am just a passing title Douluo. Something is wrong, something is very wrong. Shilong's back felt cold, cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and his eyes were filled with doubts and fear. His face was full of confusion. He didn't understand why his martial spirit was trembling when he stared at Villette. This feeling is even stranger than when I faced the great priest Dalu and Pope Bibi Dong. When facing the Grand Priest and the Pope, Shilong subconsciously trembled and feared because they were powerful and held great power. It does not mean that his martial spirit will be the same. Shilong's martial spirit is a mutated martial spirit. After reaching the Soul Saint level, you will have two forms of martial soul true body, the weapon soul true body and the beast soul true body. Moreover, it can also affect Shilong at the same time, which is the most terrifying thing. Such a powerful martial spirit can be ranked in the entire Douluo Continent. Besides, how weak can a martial soul that can cultivate to the level of a titled Douluo be, no matter how weak it is? Shilong just secretly observed Villette and didn't feel anything at first. He thought Navalette was just a child with some talent. However, his martial soul was afraid first. Good guy, the martial soul's perception cannot lie. Even if he can deceive himself, Wuhan's early warning is absolutely impossible to make mistakes. This is the first time that his martial spirit has behaved like this in so many years. Don't even think about it, that boy Villette definitely has some big secret hidden. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Shilong's martial soul to be so fearful. Suddenly, Shilong frowned. He always felt as if he was being targeted by someone. You must know that Shilong is a titled Douluo. What's the use of having more contras, if you can still find the secretly titled Douluo? This is also the reason why Shilong dared to take advantage of the annual meeting of the Soul Fighting Arena to come and investigate. He has no fear at all. This time, that time. Shilong is now sweating profusely. This feeling of being locked in and could give him a fatal blow at any time made Shilong couldn't help but tremble. Suddenly, Lexius frowned, his eyes narrowed, and he was filled with anger. The patriarchs who were chatting were slightly startled. Brother Lake, what's wrong with you? Moffat asked doubtfully. We were having a good chat, why did we suddenly get angry? Is it because they didn't give enough gifts before? It shouldn't be. Nothing, I just found a sewer rat. Lexius waved his hand and said in a bad tone. In this kind of situation, there are actually people peeking in secretly, and they don't take the 8 major families in their eyes at all. Forget it before, they were just contras, and they might not be able to find the titled Douluo hiding in the dark. If you can't find it, you won't be angry. Even if you find it accidentally, you will probably have to swallow your anger. A titled Douluo is, after all, a titled Douluo. But things are different now. He, Lexius, has broken through to the realm of titled Douluo. After hearing this, everyone's faces suddenly fell. Bold. Moffat slapped the table, stood up directly, and roared, who dares to come to my spirit fighting arena and act arrogantly? The momentum belonging to the peak contra burst out instantly, sweeping across the entire field. Before Lexius made a breakthrough, he and Moffat were the only 89-level contras among the 8 clan leaders. That is, peak contra. As for the other clan leaders, although they are all contras, they are still a bit far away from level 89. The Ross family, Robert. The family of Adam, Atho. The Milan family, Mimi. The auras of the seventh soul Douluo burst out almost at the same time. Even the ordinary titled Douluo would not be stronger than them at this moment. Lexius also stood up slowly at this time, his eyes filled with golden flames, looking towards the place where Shilong was hiding. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. 9 soul rings quickly rose from the feet of Lexius. Especially the last spirit ring, which is black with red in it. Its momentum is no weaker than that of an ordinary 100,000-year spirit ring. You must know that this is the spirit ring of the pinnacle spirit beast of the sub-dragon species. If a 100,000-year-old soul beast like Xiao Wu encounters a 90,000-year-old sub-dragon species alone, he will have no choice but to run for his life. There are 2 types of soul beasts, one is the ordinary soul beast, and the other is called the dragon clan. A dragon is also a dragon. Shilong. The Shilong people in the secret are all numb. Didn't they agree that there are only 8 contras in the 8 great hermit families? Where did this titled Douluo who looked so terrifying come from? Shilong swallowed his saliva. Was he really discovered? The one who targeted him before was probably this titled Douluo, right? As for that boy, absolutely impossible. He is just a child. Shilong didn't know that he first threw the correct answer out of his mind. The person who had locked him in before was none other than Navalette. It means that Villette has not yet grown up, so his breath will leak. Otherwise, Shilong would not have been able to sense Villette's aura. Originally, Shilong would not have been exposed, even if Lexius was also a titled Douluo. As long as Shilong's eyes are not focused on Lexius, Lexius will not notice anything wrong. They are all titled Douluo. Unless the difference in soul power level is relatively large and they deliberately hide themselves and do not take the initiative to show up, it is difficult to be discovered. However, due to fear, Shilong's aura leaked out, which happened to be noticed by Lexius, and then he exposed his body. Shall you come out on your own, or shall I catch you? Lexius said indifferently. Judging from the aura, this mouse only looked like level 91. There are still many years before the Tiando Palace changes, and the peak soul power has not yet been reached. Lexius is a 93 level titled Douluo. How could he be afraid of a 91 level rat? What's more, his brothers are not vegetarians. Suddenly, Lexius seemed to remember something, and looked at Villette and Fukalos again. He was even more confident. Hearing this, Shilong was a little angry. They are all titled Douluo, no one is worse than the other. In a blink of an eye, I thought that these 8 major families were absolutely neutral forces, and there was no need to offend each other. In case the other party insists on getting to the bottom of it, it doesn't matter if Shilong is exposed, but what if Qian Renxue's undercover mission is exposed? Thinking of this, Shilong calmed down the anger on his face. You don't have to be like this, I don't mean any harm. After saying this, Shilong walked out of the darkness with a smile on his face. They say don't hit the smiling person, but he has done this, so the other party shouldn't continue to pursue it, right? I was just passing by the soul fighting arena. I saw there was a banquet here and was going to ask for a drink. Shilong said, not in a hurry. He who can cultivate to the title of Douluo is not an old actor. Chapter 98. When did they come? Lexius and the others looked at Shilong like a little fool. This can be deceived by children. It's obviously a bit redundant to lie to a bunch of old guys like them. Having been traveling in the mainland for decades, what kind of situations have you not encountered? Seeing that everyone was silent and staring straight at him, Shilong's eyes twitched. This group of people was more difficult to deal with than he thought. Who are you? Lexius said with an indifferent expression, and the golden flames on his body became a little stronger. This scene made Shilong stunned. For some reason, he always felt that the flames on this man looked familiar. I think I've seen it there. Unfortunately, now is not the time to think about these things. I'm just a lonely person, I got through to the title of Douluo by luck. Of course Shilong couldn't tell the truth. The heads of the 8 major families were all here. If he told the truth, he might create a powerful enemy for Wuhun Palace. Although the strength of the 8 hidden families is not valued by the Wuhun Palace, the price to be paid for annihilating them will be too high. Where is the fighting spirit arena? How many soul masters have never been to a soul fighting arena in their lives? Although the fighting spirit arena remains neutral and does not participate in the disputes on the mainland, it is really not a soft persimmon. At any time, thousands or even tens of thousands of soul masters can be recruited to form a legion. This is one of the reasons why no force is willing to eliminate the soul fighting field. You dare to come to my soul fighting arena to act like a lonely person. It seems that you don't want to live anymore. Lexius didn't believe what Shilong said. Not everyone could cultivate to the title of Douluo on his own like Dugubo did. This person is most likely a titled Douluo hidden by some big force. Could it be that it's the Tiando royal family? Glanced at Shilong, Lexius shook his head again. If the Tiando royal family had a titled Douluo, they would not win over Dugubo like this. It is not a secret that the 8 major families gather together. It happens every year. If you are interested in investigating, you can find out. It's just that whose house it is in will be determined by drawing lots. If it's not the Tiando royal family, how could it be the hidden titled Douluo of the Qibao glazed sect? The Qibao glazed sect is not far from Tiando City, just on a mountain range outside Tiando City. Sword and Bone Douluo often accompany Ning Fengji, the leader of the Qibao glazed sect, on the Douluo Continent. Their appearance is known to several clan leaders. Lexius shook his head. He couldn't think about it, so he simply didn't want to think about it. After hearing this, anger appeared on Shilong's face. Did he really think that Shilong was a soft persimmon? Snort. Shilong snorted coldly and said, "They are all titled Douluo. You have humiliated me so much. Do you dare to fight me alone?" If the opponent swarmed forward, even Shilong, a level 95 titled Douluo, would have to retreat temporarily. However, if he fights alone, Shilong may not lose. His martial soul's true form is no joke. Even if he still can't beat him, can't he still run? At the beginning, it was okay for Shilong to run away directly. However, he was preparing to collect some information about Lexius, so he did not run away directly. Looks like it's brainless, but in fact it's all calculated. Wanting to kill a titled Douluo who is bent on escaping, unless the level difference is huge, it is absolutely impossible. Although Lexius looks so terrifying, his soul power level absolutely cannot exceed 94. This is also one of the reasons why Shilong stayed. After hearing this, Lexius and everyone looked at each other and thought for a moment. Lexius seemed to have thought of something, and then said, "Okay, I can promise you. Since I broke through to the title Douluo, I haven't made a serious move yet. Brothers, you can take a look at my current strength." Moffat, Riley and others twitched their mouths. This old guy just wants to show off, right? They also knew that there were 2 reasons why Lexius agreed to this request. After all, the opponent is a titled Douluo, and he may not be able to defeat him even if he only knows it for a while. Also, this is a spirit fighting arena. The younger generation are all here. When fighting, if they are injured, you dare to go out of the city and fight. When a titled Douluo fights, it will be earth-shattering. If you fight in your own home, who owns the damaged things? Why don't you dare? Shilong replied directly without even thinking about it. After saying this, Shilong moved and disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he had already arrived outside the spirit fighting arena. Lexius did not pursue immediately, but glanced at Moffat. Moffat was silent. This look contained too much truth and responsibility. "Okay, I'll stay." That's right. Lexius's meaning was very simple. Let him look at the younger generation. At this time, the younger generation's eyes changed when they looked at Lexius. Grandpa Lake is actually a titled Douluo. Lei Qingqing murmured with a dull look on his face. His generation really didn't know about this matter. No matter how much Lexius shows off, he can't go to his grandchildren and say that he has a breakthrough, right? Let's talk about it in front of these old brothers. When will my grandfather be able to break through to the title of Douluo? Momo also had a dull look on his face and said subconsciously. This made Moffat want to give him a beating, and he would not pick up any pot. This is also the reason why the 7 patriarchs have a tacit understanding and do not tell the story that Lexius has broken through to the title Douluo. As soon as the scene changed, everyone quickly arrived at the outskirts of Tiando City. At this time, Moffat, who was in the great soul fighting arena of Tiando City, counted his grandchildren with some confusion. 1, 2, 3, 7. It's strange, where have little Navel and Fukalos gone? Moffat scratched his head. He didn't pay attention. Could it be that these two little guys followed him out of the city? After thinking for a moment, Moffat shook his head again. With so many brothers gone, it was more than enough to protect the two little guys. Thinking of this, Moffat also breathed a sigh of relief. Continue to Momo, Lei Chingching and others, telling about the accident that happened when he and Lexius battled the sea. Suburban areas. Shilong looked at Lexius, who was not far away, with a solemn expression. The two looked at each other, and they might take action at any time. Layli, Mimi and others looked at Navelet and Fukalos in confusion. When did they come? Why, as Contras, didn't they notice it? Little Navelet and Navelet's wife, you. Before Rayleigh could finish speaking, Fukalos waved his hand, and 8 bubbles with a radius of about half a meter appeared behind everyone. Everyone, sit down and let's take a look. Fukalos waved his hand and smiled. Her very sincere look made the 6 chiefs take a breath. Everyone looked at bubbles behind them, then at Navelet and Fukalos. 99. I am the sun. Everyone looked at bubbles, then at Navelet and Fukalos. These two young men definitely have some unknown secret. Fortunately, they are their own people. If they were outsiders, even if the 8 major families were neutral forces, they would not be able to help but investigate. You must know that among their group, the ones with the lowest strength are all level 85 Contras. That's it. Surprisingly, no one noticed that Villette and Fukalos were quietly following behind them. For a moment, Riley and others wondered if they were old, a little demented, and slow to react. Let's put aside the matter of not discovering Villette and Fukalos for the time being. Fukalos' move just now really made everyone confused. How much control do you need to have over your own soul power and the water element to be able to wave your hand and form these bubbles? A few water attribute soul masters can do this, provided that they need to release martial souls and possess corresponding soul skills. If there is no soul skill to form bubbles, then, water-type soul masters who have a certain degree of control over their own soul power can also form bubbles with the help of their soul power. But, Fukalos didn't release his martial spirit just now, right? With a wave of his hand, bubbles were formed. How could this operation and technique not surprise old guys like them? For simple destruction, the soul master can still attack without using his martial soul. It's just that such an attack is very weak, which is completely different from when the martial spirit is released. The strength of a soul master is almost always above that of martial souls and soul rings. Everyone sat on the bubbles calmly. To be honest, it felt more comfortable than the sofa. After Layli and others sat down, they looked at each other and quietly poked the bubbles with their fingers. They wanted to test how strong the bubble was. It's just a bubble, and it's beyond common sense to be able to bear the weight of a normal person. Although the bubbles condensed by the Soul Master are powerful, there must be an upper limit, right? What makes Riley and others strange is that when they poked the bubble with their fingers, it was not broken, just like cotton. After getting this result, everyone subconsciously used their soul power to get involved with the bubble bar. The soul power was concentrated on the fingertips, and he poked the bubble again. You must know that they are all powerful souls at the Contra level. Their soul power is as deep as the abyss and the sea. Their soul power intensity is not comparable to that of ordinary soul masters. The pressure of soul power alone can make a soul king or even a soul emperor level powerhouse unable to stand up, let alone pure soul power. Just a moment later, Rayleigh and the others took a deep breath. The bubble was actually so strong. They used their soul power, but they still couldn't pop the bubble. If it weren't for the wrong occasion, they would all want to release their martial souls and use soul skills to try out how terrifying this bubble's endurance is. The bubbles formed by just waving his hand are so terrifying, so how terrifying must the person who condensed the bubbles be? Looking at Fukalos again, everyone's eyes gradually changed. Fukalos and Navelet looked calm. They saw the small actions of the 6 clan leaders, but they said nothing. Keep silent and leave the rest to their own imagination. This is just a small episode. Lexius and Shilong looked at each other and could break out at any time. They didn't speak, they just relied on their own perception to judge the strength of the other party. Lexius was the first to move. The Golden Crow is possessed. Both parties did not introduce themselves. At their level, many things are secrets and are very important information. They cannot be told to others at will. Seeing this, Shilong did not dare to hesitate at all and immediately summoned his martial spirit, Snake Spear. Mutated martial spirit, Snake Spear. With Qianjin, the dragon Strao Wushun of Douluo has the same wonderful work. The snake spear contains the soul of an ancient ferocious beast, a two-headed snake, which also allows Shilong's seventh soul skill to have two forms. 2 yellow, 3 purple, and 4 black 9 soul rings quickly rose from Shilong's feet. Shilong and Thorn Shui's soul rings are not the best soul ring ratio, because their fifth soul rings are only thousand-year soul rings. They were able to cultivate to the level of titled Douluo, which showed that their talents were not weak. It was just that at that time, they had no better choice. As Shilong released the martial spirit, Robert for short, who was sitting next to Villette, subconsciously said, "This martial spirit, turns out to be him, I remember him. When I first broke through to level 70 to hunt soul beasts, I had some disputes with this man. He was also a soul saint at that time, and I was no match for him." Robert murmured, one of the few injuries he had was serious, so he was naturally impressed. "I didn't expect that he had already broken through to the title of Douluo. His martial soul's true form is very strange. I have two forms, the weapon soul true body and the beast soul true body. It was because I didn't know his information that I was so defeated." After hearing this, the expressions of Rayleigh and others changed. Robert had actually suffered a loss at the hands of this titled Douluo. You must know that Robert's martial spirit is an earth bear that claims to control the power of the earth. Whether it is defense or attack, he is a very powerful existence among soul masters of the same level. He fought against Shilong, who was at the same level, and actually lost. At this time, Shilong looked at Lexius in the sky and couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Golden Crow. This man's martial soul is actually the Golden Crow. He also asked before why this golden flame is so familiar. No wonder. The Seraph martial spirit uses the true fire of the sun, and the Golden Crow martial spirit also uses the true fire of the sun. If it were simply a comparison of who can use the true fire of the sun better, then it must be the Golden Crow martial spirit. The god of angels is not the god of the sun. He can draw on part of the power of the sun and is already very powerful. Besides, seraphim not only have fire attributes, but also have attributes such as holiness and light. In terms of comprehensive evaluation of martial spirits, the Seraph martial spirit is still much stronger than the Golden Crow martial spirit. If it is the three-legged Golden Crow martial spirit, I am the sun. It is a pity that the human body cannot withstand such a terrifying martial spirit as the three-legged Golden Crow. The third soul skill, 9 shadow-splitting slashes. Shilong did not dare to test anything here, so he directly flashed his third soul ring, his first purple soul ring, and activated the 3 soul skills. Suddenly, Shilong's momentum increased a bit, and the snake spear slashed in the direction of Lexius like a phantom. This man's martial soul is the Golden Crow. How dare he, Shilong, be careless? It's not that he doesn't respect martial ethics. When Lexius saw this, a trace of disdain flashed in his eyes. This titled Douluo was already panicking. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to use the third soul skill. The group exploded. New group, 315,946,324. 100. Prick the blood, save me. HMPH, what a small trick. Lexius smiled disdainfully, and the first spirit ring flashed. It was the century-old spirit ring with the lowest age. The first soul skill, ignite the prairie fire. As the words fell, golden flames rose from the wings behind Lexius, and then with a wave of the wings, 2 golden flames rushed towards Shilong. I remember that Brother Lake's first soul skill was sprayed out from his mouth. His martial soul has evolved and his method of operation has also changed. The audience Riley said something subconsciously. Is it possible that Brother Lake's understanding of the nature of fire has reached a level beyond your imagination? Oro Baniu, referred to as Aobaniu, who was sitting next to Rayleigh, said quietly. The origin of the name Obaniu is quite strange. His father was going to name him Oro Bass, but he vaguely saw a purple, sword energy, cutting through the sky. I always felt that the child couldn't bear the name, so I named him Oro Baniu. Old Ao, aren't you also a fire attribute? How high do you think Brother Lake understands the fire attribute? Mimi asked from the side. How high? Obaniu curled his lips, looked at Lexius again, and then said, how many floors high? Actually, it's not bad. Grandpa's understanding of the nature of fire is only at the stage of destruction. Navalette said calmly. The so-called destruction stage means that Lexius only uses martial arts to destroy. His own understanding of the fire attribute is actually not high. Fire is originally an extremely violent attribute. In terms of destructive power, it is a little worse than the thunder attribute. It is easy to destroy and can be destroyed using soul power. Create is difficult. Grandpa's martial soul has just evolved not long ago, and his understanding of the true fire of the sun is not very deep. Uncles, there is no need to praise it so much. As soon as Navalette said these words, the 6 clan leaders went numb. In their eyes, Lexius was already very powerful this time, but in the eyes of this junior, his grandfather was just average. Well, maybe it's not so general. Just getting started. Do you want to listen to what you are saying, Billet? Before anyone could say this, Navalette stretched out his left hand, and a ball of water elements quickly gathered. In an instant, 8 goblets condensed by water appeared, floating quietly in front of Navalette. With a wave of his left hand, 8 streams of water appeared and slowly flowed into the goblet, as if what was flowing in was not water but red wine. Uncles, please use water. Navalette raised his right hand slightly, controlling the goblet in front of him, and floated it towards the crowd. When there were 2 glasses left, he picked up one with his hand and said to Fukalos, Ms. Fukalos, there is sugar in this cup. If you don't like the sweetness, tell me and I'll make it again for you. Everyone. Layli, Mimi, Aobaniu and others looked at each other in confusion. They looked at the cup in front of them and subconsciously picked it up with their hands. A cup that was completely made of water could still have such distinct layers. Good fellow, he said that Lexius's understanding of fire was only superficial, and they believed it. Then, the fist became hard. They don't believe that Navalette is just a soul master. Hunzun. Go to hell, soul lord. They are all brothers, but he is actually hiding them. Fukalos glanced at Billet with a smile. She knew that Billet was not showing off any knowledge, he was just telling the truth. Lexius's understanding of the element of fire is indeed still superficial. Thank you, Mr. Navalette. Fukalos smiled and took the goblet, and then Billet picked up the last glass and clinked it with the cup in Fukalos' hand. Question mark. Quote. These 2 young men have no moral ethics. They came to see the battle, not to eat food. You own people, don't do this. Of course, they have been working for decades, so it is definitely impossible for them to say this. Everyone looked at each other, imitated the way Billet and Fukalos clinked glasses, clinked one glass, and then drank it all. The cup in his hand turned into water again and fell to the ground. Water is good water. However, they were full of emotions at this time. These 2 young men are not simple at all. It is quite strange to say that if Fukalos can be hidden, it is because she is not a member of the 8 major families, her age is ominous, and her strength is ominous. But Navalette was the one they watched grow up. Such a monster was right under their noses, but they didn't notice anything was wrong. This is the scariest thing. Lexius and Shi Long were fighting fiercely here, and they didn't know what was happening on the audience side. Shi Long became more and more frightened as he fought, and the heat wave hitting his face made him a little uncomfortable. In the past, the flames were all caused by his own people. He didn't have such a feeling, but it was different now. Little snake, I'm not going to mess around with you anymore. Suddenly, Lexius's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and his aura increased a bit again. Before, he just asked Shi Long to test the new martial spirit. Now, the test is completed. This title Douluo seems to be just like that. Hearing this, Shi Long was slightly startled, and then his expression changed in vain. Only then did he realize that Lexius was just playing with him before. Although he didn't exert his full strength, he showed his true ability, but in the end, the other party was playing games. Stop looking down on others. The 7th soul skill, Snake Spear True Form. Shi Long shouted loudly, the 7th soul ring bloomed with light, and the snake spear in his hand suddenly turned into an ancient ferocious beast with 2 snake heads. So, is this your confidence? Lexius looked indifferent, and the golden flames on his body gradually rose and quickly enveloped him. The seventh soul skill. Golden Crow True Body. In an instant, a golden crow with golden flames all over its body appeared in the sky. Compared with the two-headed snake, the golden crow is obviously much smaller, but in many cases, its strength has nothing to do with its size. With the appearance of the golden crow, the space within a radius of 1 kilometer seemed to be slightly distorted. This is a normal phenomenon when flames burn the air, indicating that the temperature is very high. Since I obtained the ninth spirit ring, I have not used it. Now, I want to let the world see its power. The ninth soul skill. The sun rises in the east and rains in the west. There is no sunshine but there is sunshine. Sunshine, shine. The golden crow transformed by Lexius rose slowly into the sky like the sun in the east, temporarily dimming the stars and the moon in the sky. At this moment, he seemed to have become the sun in the dark night. Shilong trembled all over. He was going to die, he was really going to die. He will never be able to take this blow. Prick the blood, save me. The group exploded. New group. 315,946,324. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.